and I will defend myself to chat.
Okay.
Because there are some people here who very likely are familiar with wrestling, or Joshi, or my stream, and have probably seen one out of many of the things that I am putting on this list. When somebody comes up to you, and they're like, hey, I don't know much about this thing, can you show me this thing?
Hello, Mario.
I wanted to make sure
Hello.
that I covered as many bases as I could. In
We
my
have a diverse
opinion,
palette here, ladies and gentlemen.
one
and
of
everyone
the
in between.
most wrestling matches ever is this match.
All right.
Aja Kong, Bull Nakano, and it has one of the best spots, I think, in a wrestling match or a classic wrestling match. I don't think it matters. I think this one in particular has like one of the biggest moments in Joshi.
All right.
And expanding on that, I wanted to make sure that I had some of my favorites in there as well, because, you know, when you're showing somebody something, you wouldn't show them something from somebody you fucking hate. You'd be like, hey,
Sure.
I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this guy. And in some of these cases, all those guys are girls. So, fucking, I wanted to make sure that I had, you know, some memorable matches. I needed to make sure I hit as many promotions as possible. So even though I might have missed like an Akira Hokuto match, I made sure to get a Seedling match in. I made sure to get a Gaia Girls match in. I made sure to get like, you know, like stuff like that. So yes,
Sure.
I didn't get everybody that would probably be cool to show them, but I tried to
I think we
have
get
a
the idea.
smattering. Yeah.
Now I'm passively
Shut
familiar.
the fuck up and let's watch wrestling is what you're telling me right now.
Yeah. Like you don't need to like over-explain. It's all right.
Yes, I do. Fuck you.
I
But
will
anyway,
say I am
continue.
familiar like with both of these women. So
Well, that's good. That means you have like a very basic grasp of who like the most important women.
well, let me make
In
sure that we can
Joshi.
hear this. Yep.
Can you guys
we
hear
can do
this? You guys can hear it.
Just show your mates the big egg event. Well, you know what? I know that we have like a big like Monkey Kong promo coming. So
Yes. Chubby King Kong promo.
chubby King Kong promo. What do you mean you have what do you mean you don't have infinite time to make him watch infinite matches?
That was the other thing too, is that I went on your Twitch and I did cyber sleuthing. I fucking cyber hacked your mainframe, and I was like, well, how long are their streams usually? And I saw that it was about 3.5 to 4 hours. So I was like, all right, I'll try to hit that, and ended up with 5.5 hours. Shit, so, like they
We're not
said,
gonna
we're
be
gonna
getting
be
through
skipping through
everything.
some stuff. Yeah. So I won't make you watch literally everything on there, but you know, like I said, I tried picking some of the better stuff.
So like when
This
was
match-
this here? When was this?
This was in the past.
Well, yes. But when
I'm not good with memories. This would probably be mid to late 90s.
Okay.
So obviously the one with the tall hair, that's Bull Nakano.
Yep.
Easily
And the
one of
one
the
with-
most. I have to explain the chat as well.
She is in the scheme of like, you know, Japanese women's wrestlers, probably
Like imagine like Hulk Hogan without the racism.
she is probably the most like recognizable Japanese women's wrestler here in the West.
Yeah.
Probably second only to like her opponent here.
Yeah,
So,
Aja Kong.
yeah. They're probably both the most recognizable Japanese women's wrestlers here in the West. So,
Is this the Bull Nakano match that I think it is? Yes.
is
You see
this
how
the
chat is
match,
already,
Ari?
like, yeah, you see how chat's like picking up like already? Like I said, I made sure that these were important as well.
Yeah, like
This is 1990. Thank you so much.
all right, 1990. Oh wow, this was like before they were in the Fed.
Yeah.
That both of them were like in the Fed for like a brief period of time.
So I think
At
even
least.
Bull Nakano hasn't gone on her like massive reign at this point either. Bull Nakano has one of the longest fucking title reigns ever. It was like over like 1,200 days or some shit. Nearly 3 entire years she held the top belt in AJW.
I can't believe Roman Reigns has beaten that. Shameful.
Yeah, I know. Fucking disgusting. Honestly.
Cody should have finished his fucking story, dude.
Cody needs to write a new book because I'm getting tired of hearing about it.
Well, he needs to finish this one first.
No, fucking, he's George R.R. Martin in this shit, man. I can't take it anymore.
He can't have a folder full of works in progress, all right? He needs to finish his current piece, otherwise he's never gonna get anywhere.
Listen, it goes with this whole like indie thing, you know? Like,
ooh,
I know this fucking match is great. And they haven't
I
even
hit,
gotten like dirty yet.
I forget like how hard like wrestling over there can be.
Oh yeah.
Like they just paint each other.
I will say that out of all the matches on this list, this might be the one that will show violence. Like color, I guess. These girls will bleed. I'm not quite sure any of the other ones have like this much. So again, I started with, you know, this one for particular reasons. The other ones won't be as brutal, I don't think.
She's just raining in those back fists. Holy fuck. Look at her.
Listen, are you familiar with the term the surgically repaired knee of Seth Rollins?
I'm aware
favorite.
of the 5 surgeries in Rey Mysterio's left knee.
No, this is even better. So Seth Rollins had to go out for like a while, and he had a surgically repaired knee. And then when he came back, literally every time he failed to do a move, commentary would go, "Oh, he's working on the surgically repaired knee of Seth Rollins." It became my favorite phrase of all time because of how often they would say it and how like completely unironic it was being said.
I was not aware of that. I was not aware of that at all.
So, Aja Kong has a metal rod in her arm because she fractured her arm. And you can see the scar, like, even today. It shows up pretty well, like, under the, like, HD lighting. And I think, like, that in kayfabe makes her back fist stronger.
Right.
So, the whole reason that she has, like, the Udaken, or the spinning back fist, is because she has a fucking titanium rod inserted into her forearm.
Was that like a thing at this point in time?
I do believe so.
So she's had that in there for like a long time.
Long time, yeah.
Quite literally
most
of her life at this
30
point.
years, yeah. Well, Aja,
there's one Bull Aja match where someone gets stabbed in the forehead with scissors and it's hard to watch. Well, we're not watching that one, I can tell you that. I would like this one to go up on YouTube, maybe.
We'll see. I don't remember who stabs what with who in this one. There's a Dump Matsumoto match, which I don't know if you're familiar with Dump Matsumoto. They're doing a Netflix series about her. But she was like the mega heel in Japan.
All right.
To the point now where she's like 60 and she goes out, and to convey how evil she is, she literally just like draws swastikas on her forehead and shit. Like literally just like the cheapest, easiest way to convey that you're evil.
That honestly. Is like actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, that seems really low effort.
Yes. No, I'm not
incredibly low effort.
You agree? It's literally like if you just wrote like "I'm evil" like on a T-shirt and just wore that out. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
Okay, so that is the signature weapon of Aja Kong. So Bull Nakano grabbed it out of the air first. Aja Kong used to come out with fucking gimmick trash cans to just beat people with. Bull Nakano's signature weapon is the nunchuck.
All right.
But yeah, Dump Matsumoto, she used to go out and she used to just stab people with scissors. Like literally just grab scissors and just like drive them into people's heads. Like
that,
it was disgusting.
You know what? That literally happened in my fucking like eFed that I use with like chat fucking G with chat fucking GPT. Like I had a fatal 4-way and like my fucking eFed.
Yeah.
And they used scissors to end the match and they killed someone.
That's awesome. That's awesome, though. I don't know what the problem is. So yeah, there are a lot of people on the outside right now, and they're both from obviously different sides, like supporting different people, and they're all just basically rooting for the other to win. So they just keep throwing weapons into the cage, and it gets to the point where like I think they even start like interfering in the match, which I guess we'll just see in a bit here. But it's like cartoon levels of just like, hey, here you go. Like everything but just throwing a shotgun into the ring and being like, this'll do it.
So like they're just like, so like you have like these sort of lackeys, I guess, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And they just throw it in things for like their respective girl.
Yeah.
Here.
It's like the goons from fucking the Batman Arkham games that go, here's the bat. Like, that's basically just them. They're just giving, like, each of these people, like, little weapons and shit to try to kill the other person. Because as you saw in the name of this, it is, in fact, a death match.
A death match.
Yeah, if you guys can see the top right or top left corner up there, death match. Because this is from the official AJW account. Also, how'd you like them headbutts? You ever wonder why none of them can walk anymore? Like, there you go.
Because they discombobulate each other over the course of 30 years.
All the CTE scrambled their fucking nerve endings. Oh, driver! See, that other half wasn't even red when they started. That's just all blood, brother. You thought that was the canvas? Oh. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
Is that just a rock?
So she's wearing like MMA gloves.
Sure.
So she was literally just like bashing the fucking head of Bull Nakano here. No, Bull. There you go. So I don't think Bull has. Hey, look at that. Let's go.
Hey, a dude named Tracy with the boys, girls, NBs, and fucking AGs. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to tonight's Longboy Club meeting. My name's Giraffe. I'm the president of the Longboy Club, the very large enjoyer of all things gaming, wrestling, other hyperfixations, and my stinky cat. Tonight, we are checking out Joshi Wrestling with my good friend, the Ariona here in chat.
It's me.
Yeah, but you can follow them by clicking the hyperlink in the stream title. And you should. They're really fun. They're really cool. And they have their own little wrestling promotion that they're doing right now. I think they're doing a tournament, right?
Yeah, so the tournament is through Fire Pro, which my good friend Tumble has been putting together for us. We do that every Tuesday and Thursday for the next couple of weeks.
Mario.
And then every Friday, we have a community event where I run a little 2K Joshi promotion.
All right.
And anybody who wants to be a part of it can just go to the stream. And if you contact me, I will give you the list of people still available. And you can come on stream and kind of watch everything play out with all the matches and stuff. That's my spiel. There's my pre-recorded soundbite.
The Ariona has indeed entered themselves into the Longboy Club.
That's true. What? I'm a card-carrying member.
What?
What? 3. I said that man's name is Triple H.
The very large enjoyer of all things wrestling. What? Gaming.
He had to quit.
What? Other hyperfixations. What? And my stinky cat.
What?
Give me a hell yeah.
3. I said, how you doing?
Please, for the love of God. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, big hash. So I do have a big hash match on here. We were actually going to start with it until I told Giraffe and stuff that they could, in fact, scroll up on
Steve Austin's entering it.
Steve Austin's entering himself
Giraffe
into the Royal Rumble.
is entering himself in the Royal Rumble.
So that man's name is Stinky Cat.
Stinky Cat. I said the Royal Rumble.
What?
Are you having a good day?
Now go ahead.
You know what? I'm having a good day. How are you doing? What?
What? Now go ahead.
Oh,
here we got
I'm howling.
What is that? Is that fucking Medusa? Like, who is that? It's one of the WWF girls was just also here. She's insufferable nowadays because she just goes on Twitter and complains.
You got nunchucks. What?
What?
MMA gloves. What?
What?
Knives and forks, I think. What?
What?
Inside a steel cage.
What?
If you think that is violence unleashed, give me a hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Squash trash can. Yeah, I love how they gimmick that trash can. It's literally like painter's tape they just put on it. And they just so it crumbles better because it's already
Holy
aluminum.
fuck!
Scissors. There's scissors. Listen,
Scissors. What?
Listen, what? 3.
That's a gimmick shoot trash can.
Gimmick
What?
shoot trash can. That's just a trash can, brother. Oh, yep. Slapping Medusa. So they are in a
Medusa's entering herself in the Royal Rumble.
Medusa. What?
I said the Royal Rumble.
What? I said, how you doing?
I'm a very big fan of New Legacy, chat.
I love it. Yeah.
They're one of my biggest inspirations.
Oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah.
It's a scissors match.
Do you watch the
I'm gonna face Triple H
Rumble
in a scissors match, son.
Said that man's name was Triple H. Oh look, she's choking her to death.
I did in fact watch the Rumble-thon.
I fucking love that. That was such a good fucking event.
They were very reliable things to watch during my lunch breaks at work. Honestly.
Yeah. So my lunch break is only like 15 minutes because I fucking work at a goddamn hell. But
I have 1 hour. It's perfect viewing time.
I would get home and I would like try to watch as much as I could before starting stream. Because I get home at like 11:30 and then stream starts at like 12. So it's like, okay, grab something to eat real quick, eat it as fast as humanly possible. Watch Bull Nakano get choked by a fucking bull rope. And then stream
bull
for
rope.
like 4 hours. Yeah, what? Medusa is still just going. She's fucking little firecracker out there. Also, you would think that, you know, after getting stabbed in the arm so many times that the rope probably wouldn't make it hurt more, but here we go. Just rope the arm of Aja Kong. Medusa's annoying. Medusa's annoying online. Back in this era, Medusa was like very fun to watch, and her and the Bull Nakano matches in WWF or whatever it was are like super fun to watch. But if you like,
now she's like an ultimate boomer or something.
Kinda, but it's like not even in the way that like is
That's
just
fun.
like your aunt like posting on Facebook. Like it's not that shit. What? I said the grippers, son. What?
I set the feet on the cage.
I said their toe digits, son. What?
Count them now. Count them.
What? What?
Count them, ref. 3,
2, 3,
3,
3,
3,
3.
3 on each foot.
But
And 2 more on each foot too.
She has 12 toes.
12 toes. What? Anyways.
No, she's so obviously like this was probably the you know, her glory days.
Sure.
Like I don't know what the rest of her career was. I know she's still known today. But like every fucking like interview she does is just like her trying to like insert herself into more history. If that makes sense. So like
so kind of like how Hulk Hogan lies a whole bunch and he says that he set up like he's gonna face like
except for like
something.
Instead of inserting herself into like more things of the past, she's trying to keep putting herself in things now.
Sure, yeah.
So like when Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch were like going back and forth on WWE a year or so ago.
Shane,
like,
what?
She was like doing all these interviews where she's like, hey, remember when I was doing a thing and wouldn't it be great if I came back? And it's like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not a part of this.
No, you're like 60 years old or something.
Fucking blonde white woman. Like nobody's asking for your input. What? So yeah, Aja Kong is now being choked through the cage.
Personally, I think that she's
just being killed.
I think that she's still slightly bitter that WCW never got a women's division.
Yeah.
Which you know, I do feel kind of bad for her in that respect because like she was brought on under the pretense they were gonna make it and then like have her as the focal point, right?
I feel like that is like if you ask somebody to explain what their contract said in WCW, you could almost apply that to everybody who was brought in. Like
Hangman Page and Swerve are taking notes. Jesus.
Like, oh, look at this shit! Isn't this awesome?
Hangman and Swerve were like taking notes, and this right here was the homework. Holy
dude,
fuck.
Eddie Kingston just like handed him a tape and was like, "Listen, you need ideas."
You know what? That Hangman and Swerve match at Full Gear last year.
Yeah.
That right there. That right there was like the tension and the drama that I wanted out of AEW for like a long time, and it wasn't there for a while. I feel like that was probably my favorite thing from them, like at the latter half of that year. It was probably the most like violent thing I've seen like in a Western promotion. What the fuck is like, holy shit?
That's what it was supposed to be. Like, that's why people watched AEW. Is like, look at the alternative to like fucking The Miz like eating dog food on fucking WWE.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
And just look at these two guys just like kicking the absolute life out of each other. Like,
yes.
When fucking Tony Khan was like, "All right, you two, what kinds of gimmicks do you want in this match?" And they both said yes.
Yeah.
You know, they said yes.
I would like to physically kill the other person if that's humanly possible. And they were like, yeah, we could probably make that work.
You know, it's funny because WCW did have a women's championship at one point. It had one champion and then it was deactivated.
Well, yeah.
And another fun thing, if you play 2K23, they actually have that design in the game of the WCW Women's Championship, and you can actually give it an actual legacy, which I think is kind of fun. So, yeah. No, these women were not paid enough for this. I can tell you that. Thank you for following a dude named Tracy. You're now a member of the Longboy Club for life. I appreciate you being here, my friend.
It's non-negotiable.
Exactly.
You cannot cancel that subscription.
When you fucking join, it is a lifetime commitment. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do make the rules.
Yeah. It's funny. You can't escape now. Like, everywhere you go, you'll be under the constant fear that a giant giraffe neck is just gonna pop out of the bushes or some shit.
I'll pop through your window and be like, "You following?"
Yeah. Just every pot, every vase, every possible thing a giraffe neck can pop out of. That's it.
That's here. I'll demonstrate. I'm going to go away now.
You need like a slide whistle. Just play like like every time you fucking like, go up and down. Let's go.
You following?
Following?
You following? All right.
Following?
You following?
Am I following?
Are you following now?
Yes.
Check. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah. I don't know what that bit was, but I hated it, and I'm glad we did it. Aja Kong's looking to fucking like pole vault or something. I have no idea what the reason of. Oh, she's just gonna jump from the sky and hit her with the
I am paying attention to this match, by the way, chat. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I just enjoy being a goofball on stream and going off topic.
I don't think I've ever talked about the match that we're watching, like while we're watching a match.
Stev, that's a bad threat. I'd chill with you if you popped out of my trash can. Well, hopefully you would let me shower first.
No.
Because, hanging around in the banana peels and, like, the toxic fumes.
You gotta watch this.
It stinks.
You need to watch it with your ears and your eyes.
I'm watching.
You see this shit? You see God watching from above? See how she almost falls backwards here? See how she prays? And then she does this.
Ah!
She bounces back up with the power. With the power of fucking God's will. In case you were wondering, again.
You know what?
Why that match was so great.
Hulk Hogan could never, but he also should never.
No. I'd love to see him do it now. We'd never hear about that dude ever again.
Yeah, he would fucking die.
He would just fucking lower bottom would like just disintegrate. Oh, Mario.
He fucking has some nerve coming in and being like, I may still have one more left in me. Oh, what? One more fucking hip to throw out?
No, he's got one more slur to say, brother.
Yeah, he's got one more. He's got one more a group of minorities to piss off.
Yes.
Anyways, that was fantastic. That was good.
That leg drop is like one of the best visuals from probably Joshi wrestling in general.
God, that was incredible. Yeah, Vince. Yeah, I fucking love the story of like Vince breaking both his quads by getting into the ring.
I'm minority.
And then he just sits in there like a baby.
God
It's
damn
me,
it,
I'm minorities.
Sean is one of my
That was
my
an
local...
absolutely insane spot though.
Yes! Isn't that great?
Hulk Hogan would never have something that good. Holy fuck.
That's true.
Although apparently like he like brought the heat when in like the few times he wrestled in Japan. Like he suddenly became like a good wrestler. Anyways.
Yeah, that's weird.
Now
but is it also like, is it a good wrestler, or are you working with people that can like kind of elevate you further than just a bunch of like fat guys named like the Drill Dozer on fucking like WWF or whatever, you know what I mean?
The Drill Dozer or Coco Beware.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like, is it really? And again, like I'm not even like discounting, like maybe he should just apply himself in Japan more. But again, like that also goes to say maybe he didn't have to apply himself in WWF, and maybe he could have, and people wouldn't have like looked back on his career and been like, wow, that was kind of hokey, just bullshit.
Well, sure, but like, you know, I feel like
work
to
smarter,
some extent,
not harder. You're right. I agree.
yeah. I mean, like,
if you don't have to take bumps, like, why wouldn't your whole gimmick be just fucking hulking up and hitting a leg drop and going back and winning a championship or whatever?
I feel like that there is something to be said about working smarter and not harder, but you know what? I feel like that there's only like so far like a good worker can take you. You got to put in, you know, your fucking load as well, because you know, wrestling is a dance, and if one person is not dancing, then the whole thing's gonna suffer.
Well, listen, we've learned in the past couple of weeks now that there were plenty of wrestlers from the 80s and 90s putting their loads in, whether they were wanted or unwanted. So, unfortunately,
I'm very aware.
So, this match.
Anyways, hey, that was Bea Priestley.
Bea Priestley. Yeah. So this was late 2019 or 20. Can't remember completely. But this is my favorite match, maybe ever.
And right here's your favorite match.
Yeah, so a lot goes into this too. Like, it's not just favorite match in the way of, you know, it being a good match, but I don't know if that would help. They're gonna start talking about like,
oh no, that's not gonna help.
If you ever use the auto translate, it's fucking hilarious.
Well, yeah, but like it's all in Japanese anyway, so like I can't understand it anyways.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to see more Japanese subs?
I'm not going to be able to understand it. It's just going to take up more screen real estate.
Yeah. So these two wrestlers here, that is Kagetsu. She was one of, in my opinion, the greatest. And I don't mean like in Stardom. I mean ever.
Okay.
She was also trained by one of the greatest ever. And I will remind chat, because somebody's going to say something, that I am referring to Kagetsu at this point as she. They are now a trans man in the present. But at this point, very obviously that is not the case. They are, in my opinion, one of the best ever. One of my favorite wrestlers ever. The one that currently has the title right here. That is Stardom's top belt. That is a red belt.
That's their world championship, basically.
Yes. So, these two have probably the best rivalry in Stardom that has ever been done. Kagetsu is the leader of the evil faction. Mayu is like the poster child of the good. And they clash all the time. And this match in particular is special because Kagetsu is just about to leave. So this is kind of like one last hurrah, one last title match, you know, before they pretty much go on their retirement road. So basically you have like, and also Mayu Iwatani is like the face of this company. She's been there since the inception. She was part of their like first year. Literally left home, like fucking ran away and moved in with the guy that runs the company just so she could be in the company. Like, that's how dedicated like she has been to being in this particular promotion.
In this business
that I love. Yeah, so pretty much. So it is like literally like two titans going against each other, and I love it because, like I said, like Kagetsu is just one of my fucking favorites, and Mayu's great too. One can be my favorite, and the other can be very good, I will say. And also, just for a little context as well, Stardom, both at this point and in general, is probably the top Joshi wrestling company in Japan.
Stardom?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, it's the one I hear about all the time. So.
Yes.
Yes.
So if anything, like this, yeah, this will be the one that, like, if you ever hear like, oh, that Joshi match was like so good, like, chances are it came out of Stardom. Like, it's the only one that fucking Dave Meltzer will talk about because he saw one match once.
Korakuen Hall here.
Is this one then? I can't. I didn't get to see the venue shot yet, but it looks like it. I see the bleachers.
After March, that might not be true, apparently, says one.
That's true. So, Stardom is going through a bit of an issue. They just fired... Issue? They just fired the guy that
wait, I remember this.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, to anybody who doesn't know in chat, Stardom just fired their, like, head guy. So, a big company bought Stardom. It used to be run by a fellow named Rossi Ogawa. He is the Hat Man. He is always wearing a hat. He has been in charge of at least 3 wrestling promotions.
Okay.
And Stardom was the most recent. The thing is he plans to start a new one because now he no longer has control of Stardom. They bought it from him. They kept him there to work like behind the scenes on stuff. And he's still very much the face of the company as, you know, the guy fucking running things. But it's not the truth. The truth is that a giant company owns it and runs it now.
Okay.
So they fired him because they found out that he was going to try to start another company, and they just wanted to kind of rug pull it, kind of take the momentum out and make him look bad. So that's exactly what they did. So he is gone now, and now it basically becomes people are curious. They're curious whether or not a lot of the talent in Stardom are going to stay with Stardom and basically get that like confirmed paycheck and job security and all that, or if they're going to go with Rossi because so many of them are loyal to Rossi and have been for like 11 plus years. 13.
So it's essentially like, you know, like Mitsuhara kind of situation, where like you kind of have like something like you know, Noah coming out of that.
An exodus. Yes.
Because you just have like all these people leaving and then they create their own promotion.
Yeah. No, that is like the example that most people have used too. So you nailed it.
All right. Okay, yeah, because like all I know about the situation before you told me all that is that Tony Khan was like going off about it like on Twitter.
So Tony Khan,
as he's wont to do,
a very funny individual. Yes,
he's a very. I feel like his kind of Twitter things they have.
Nothing beats a cool, refreshing sip.
They've gone from like kind of, you know, fun and cute to just being
like sad.
Cringe.
Yeah,
you know?
Pretty much.
Cringe and making the company look a little bad.
So yeah, he decided to dunk on Rossi getting fired because he, I guess, just decided to blame Rossi for none of the Stardom talent ever appearing on AEW. And it turns out that it was never Rossi's call to make. So he basically just like ruined or potentially ruined. Oh yeah, you like this?
What the fuck?
Yeah, onto the bleachers too.
Jeff Hardy's spot.
This is gonna hurt.
This is going to hurt. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
Ah! Holy fuck!
Yeah.
Coup de grace, jeez.
She gonna be eating them ribs for breakfast, brother.
Has wrestling ever had any hostile takeovers? I mean, like, just look at, like, the Vince McMahon stuff when he was buying up all the territories. Yeah. You know?
About as hostile.
That was, like, the most hostile list of hostile takeovers. Like, he basically just, like, bought up all the territories and changed how we, like, you know, comprehend wrestling.
Yeah.
In a sense. Your reactions are priceless. What, mine?
That was also, by the way, after like he had like what promised his dad that would not happen.
Yeah, I know.
Like he gets the company from his dad, Vince, and the dad is like, "Hey, make sure you don't literally ruin the entire landscape of wrestling." And Vince is like, "Yeah, sure, pal," and fucking literally does exactly that. Like buys every fucking territory and just creates like WWF or whatever it was.
Vince being a scumbag, then, now, forever, and also together.
I was gonna say, who could it possibly guess?
But no, you know what? AEW, that is still my preferred, like, wrestling in terms of, like, Western promotions, right?
Yeah.
It still is. But people need to take wrestlers' phones away from that company and also TK's. Because I am so sick of hearing from them. I'm done with them.
Remember fucking, what was it? FTR Bald. Remember, like, every week, like, fucking Mr. Bald would just, like, go on Twitter and say, like,
what, fucking Dax Harwood?
Shit. Yeah. Remember, he would just go on Twitter and all of a sudden there would be, like, 18 discourses in a week.
No.
And
I love AEW. Like, I hate hearing from their wrestlers.
Stop talking on Twitter. Like, literally, stop. That's what the show is for, if you want to push, like, a storyline or whatever.
I remember that, like, I think it was Dax that had, like, his own podcast and, like, flopped within 2 months.
Yeah, they had to stop doing it because he kept getting in trouble.
FTR, Bald, and Gunn are the most insufferable motherfuckers in the biz. I love FTR as wrestlers. I feel like that they would be exhausting to be around.
Them as people? Yeah, that would be horrible.
I feel like being around them would be pretty exhausting.
100%.
That being said, you will catch me hanging around Edge any day of the week. I fucking love Edge. I just kind of love his vibe in general, you know?
You think you know me?
I'm glad he got to keep his presentation.
Me too. Hell yeah.
I'm glad that Cody got to keep his presentation in WWE. I think it's really cool, like when there's a continuity between promotions, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, that's always been
at like Gina Carano and play victim. What now?
What?
He what? That's the biggest thing AEW had in my book. What now? Oh wait, giving his wrestlers healthcare benefits. That's kind of shady. Wait, did he?
I don't.
Did he lie about that?
I don't work there.
I've never heard about like him giving their wrestlers healthcare benefits. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I mean, he's a billionaire. You think he's gonna do that? Nah.
That's how you become a billionaire, brother.
Yeah, that's how you become a billionaire.
He would only be a millionaire if he gave people benefits.
He's a millionaire who should be a billionaire. You know why he's not a billionaire? It's because he gives his wrestlers healthcare benefits. Fucking Arrow.
It's a fucking Arrow, my friend.
Fucking Arrow.
You gotta call it that. Otherwise, I can't collab with you.
The
fucking Arrow.
He promised healthcare when the company started. Did he?
Listen, that's how you get people.
I mean, like, listen. The thing that I most remember, you know, like as like initial promises, is that like AEW would have like the best women's division, and it is comfortably the worst.
Yeah.
It is comfortably the worst. Like, even with Timeless Toni Storm, it is still the pits, I feel like.
Which
like,
is
a lot of people want, like,
because it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. Like, they have the talent now.
It's actually impressive that he still has managed to not make a good women's division.
Like, a lot of people are excited that, like, Sasha Banks might be over there. I almost don't want her to, because, like, I don't trust Tony to keep her on the boil, you know?
Yeah. That's been, like, my big thing, too. It's like, I didn't want her to go anywhere. I wanted her to stay in Japan and just become poor, but have, like, really good matches. Like, that's... fucking, I'm selfish because I watch the wrestlers for wrestling. But, you know...
I'm begging for Monet not to go there. It stays so fucking baff. I don't want anyone going there until Tony knows how to do what he has with his talent, because, you know, like, you have fucking Toni Storm and, Purrazzo. But you also have Hayter, you have Britt Baker, you have fucking Nyla Rose, who is always incredible in every aspect. You just have so many talent there, you know?
Yep.
And a lot of them are just not being featured.
That is correct.
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
also, yeah, like it's actually like just to go back to the Monet thing. Like I've felt the exact same way because I like obviously you don't want her to go back to WWE after what they fucking did to her anyway. Like
No.
if you do, then you just want to watch WWE. I don't think you actually care about like the people behind it. Like, honestly, like if you watched somebody get like publicly humiliated on television and then go, you know what, I think she should give them another chance. Like I just can't take you seriously. But on the other hand, it's like, do you also want her to go to the other place where fucking she'll just be like, you know, a sidekick to somebody or like give a 2-minute match against like Sky Blue or whatever the fuck her name is or whatever the fuck. Like, no, probably not. Like, it's like picking a turd sandwich or like a fucking, you know, like a toenail soup. You know, like there's no good. There's no good. You're either way, you're biting into something nasty, and it's like, man, can't one of them just be good? Can't one be the good option?
I feel like AEW's like big thing. Like I don't think it's like late 2010s WWE bad, right? Because like I think that's just on another level of just like unwatchable wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like just the entirety of the 2010s just feels like a fever dream almost, you know? Just like year after year of just, you know, mid to bad stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Also, this match is good. I'm not paying attention to it. I'm still watching it.
you'll hear me pop if she hits a fucking Oedo coaster though, because that's like one of my favorite moves. Ooh, Oedo driver from the second rope. Yeah,
Ooh!
buddy. Fucking arrow.
Nice. Fucking arrow. I miss Sheeta. I miss Sheeta too.
I miss Sheeta as well.
You know, I enjoy Timeless Tony Storm. I'm so upset that Sheeta got sacrificed again.
Every time.
Again. It happened again, chat. Anyways,
using a Japanese woman as a sacrificial lamb. Disgusting.
Hold on, I need to run an ad. I need to appease Bezos.
It's time for a 90 seconds minute Cheetos break, my dudes.
Raw rolls on after this.
I wish I had Cheetos.
You know what?
Actually, I bought some. I just don't have any.
Also, I need to hydrate. Hold on a second.
Yeah, get some fucking hydration in you, would you? I have like one drink, one singular gulp of hot cocoa left, and then like a half a bottle of Coca-Cola.
Like you may be thinking, wow, Stev, you're fucking shitting all over AEW, and yet you say you like it. Why do you like it? Well, it's
Here's
simple.
the thing. Hold
on. It's simple.
Yeah. 3. Oh.
Him.
Yeah. Do it for him.
I do it for him.
It's that Simpsons meme, but instead it's just tiny little pictures of the anxious millennial cowboy.
Of Hangman Adam Page. He is, right now, my favorite wrestler of the modern era. You know? I just fucking... I love his vibe. I love his story. I love his style. I love... I just, like, especially just... I don't know. I just think... I think every aspect of his presentation is just so down pat, you know? And I think that he is, in terms of, like, being, like, sort of, like, a figure in terms of, like, male wrestling, I think that he is... I think that he's, like, a good representative of what men should be, for example, you know?
Nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Hey, welcome back to Raw. Someone who is able to find confidence in themselves, but, you know, is also to, like, see that, hey, I have fucking hardship, and it's fine to admit that. And, you know, with the help of, like, my friends, and also just kind of, you know, finding that faith in myself, I'll be able to overcome it. And, you know, I feel like that's really well done with Hangman. So, yeah.
I concur,
What were you saying?
I don't remember.
Ariana? Sorry,
no,
I went off on a big
singular idea.
I went off on a big fucking tangent about Hangman.
One of those classic giraffe tangents.
Yeah, I do that a lot, chat. You should follow me. I do that a fuck ton. I do that a fuck ton.
Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Twitch, follow them on OnlyFans, follow them on Fansly.
Go to my Discord where we do My Little Pony Friendship is Magic watch-alongs and also wrestling. We're gonna be doing WrestleMania here. like when it comes around. We're also gonna be doing Revolution, Sting's last match. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Fuck
Join
the Young
them.
Bucks.
Join them for part 36 of their AEW Fight Forever playthrough.
36 minus 34.
36 minutes.
Because I've only done 2 streams of it.
Yeah, me too. Quite literally.
Also, welcome back to Raw. Because I just don't really think it has the kind of staying power that, like, you know, a 2K game does. Because
more like it has staying power, like from my ass.
It has staying power. It's been a while since I played Fight Forever.
Yeah. Big slap. Ooh, big slap. Ooh, big slap. What you gonna do?
But no, like, yeah. What do you like about AEW, Steph? Well, I just told you, but I also like Christian Cage a lot, and
Christian Cage rocks.
And Copeland. I like Copeland a lot, but that's because he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So.
No, they're very entertaining.
Sting's last match. Well, unless money comes around. Seb, I must ask, what are your thoughts on New Metal? Well,
big Limp Bizkit fan, are you?
You know, I think it varies from band to band, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think Linkin Park is, like, unironically incredible, right?
Hell yeah.
Like, they're just so... Oh, fuck.
This!
Right in her mouth, too. Jeez.
Hell yeah. Widow Driver.
Oh!
Fucking Arrow.
Fucking Arrow.
The Widow Coaster, here it comes!
What about the Blackpool Wombat Club? Including Crash Bandicoot.
Whoa!
Whoa! But no, Linkin Park, I think, is, like, unironically brilliant. Limp Bizkit is funny to me, right?
Yeah, me too.
Like, I don't think... I feel like if you hate them, you hate fun, right?
Yeah.
You hate fun in your metal music. And Linkin Park is and Limp Bizkit is definitely fun. But I feel like a lot of their stuff is quite bad, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It is quite bad.
Oh!
But it's an entertaining bad, I feel like.
I agree with that.
And also, Fred fucking Durst, he's actually, like, a very, like, very, very, very smart, like, man when it comes to business.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, he fucking knows that he's just, like, playing, like, a really, really, exaggerated frat-bo kind of character.
Like Larry the Cable Guy. Like, you ever see Larry the Cable Guy not doing Larry the Cable Guy?
No, I've not, actually.
He's like a fucking just a guy. Like, he's... he goes from, like, Larry the Cable Guy to, like, Greg in accounting. Like, it's the weirdest shit. Because he had, like,
he's a Canadian. Is he now?
Yeah, he had like a comedy thing going on before he did, like, the Larry thing. But just, like, pandering to rednecks just, like, made his whole career. So that's just what his persona became. But yeah, he's just a dude.
Really,
he's like, yes, I do in fact believe that macaroni and cheese should be served with every hot dog. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like a regular guy.
I do in fact believe that, hey man, Adam Page is based as fuck.
Yes, exactly right. And instead he goes,
I don't know why it's like...
I'm going down to the Walmart down there, and then that's what gets him like $1 million, and then he goes home and probably bangs his, like, supermodel wife. Like, that's how that works.
Ritsu, I think... Holy crap, she has, like, mist of all colors.
Yes.
She has mist of all colors for days. Fucking Arrow!
Boom!
Anyways.
Into the Widow Coaster again!
Anyways, yeah. Ritsu, I do think that... I think that you were right on the money there, too. I think that you were right on the money there. Limp Bizkit is the light to fucking Korn's darkness. And speaking of Korn, can't really get into them. I do not think that their style is for me, even though they are the most unique, right? I just think they're a little bit too abstract for me. You know?
You don't like...
No, I don't.
That's not your bag, your cup of tea.
That is not my bag. Did you say anything about Creed? My sacrifice. Hello, my friend, we meet again. Holy fuck. Ooh.
Been
Been a while, where should we begin?
Welcome to this place. I show you everything.
When arms wide open.
I made him turn into Scooby-Doo. Travis Steph legit just went like, completely unironically. You ever just laugh so hard you become a Hanna-Barbera?
Hey, we won the match.
Yeah, my wins.
Fuck
my
yeah.
Wins.
Are you doing Creed better than Scott Stapp ever did?
If I could do that voice forever, I would just re-record all their albums and become a millionaire.
Creed is very. They're kind of in the same ballpark of Limp Bizkit to me, right?
Where
Like
if you
they
listen to
are
them as like a goof, it works.
like. There's a term that I saw like a while ago. It's called hunger dunger dang singing, right? And it's
Is that
essentially
like Eddie Vedder?
yeah, where you sound like, you know, the Seattle grunge stuff, like Vedder.
Yeah.
And
Where it's
not
just like a
necessarily
bunch of
Chris Cornell, but definitely Vedder. This is in fact Vedder. Did they really perform at a Super Bowl? What, Creed? Did they?
Hey, that'd be hilarious.
I grew up in backwoods Texas, and like I had to hear so much Creed. You know what?
I'm sorry.
Creed is the rural America band.
You might be eligible for financial compensation. It's like those mesothelioma and like asbestos commercials they show on like fucking Steve Harvey reruns. Like you might be able to call somebody and get like money for trauma having to listen to Creed growing up. I just think that's true. I'm from Puerto Rico and then I moved to the city. I have no idea who is Creed. That's probably for the best.
Do we want to show Creed? I kind of want to show Creed.
You can, yeah. I mean, you have to people that don't know him.
All right, well, hold on. We got to show with arms wide open then.
Well, if I had
arms
just
wide
one
open.
wish, only one demand, take you to this place with arms wide open.
I will say, Scott Stapp solo stuff. No, we are doing Creed, okay? We're doing Creed.
With arms wide open. What's the other one? Oh, can
my
you
sacrifice.
take me higher to the place where blind men see.
Here it is, chat.
Yeah, this is what music used to be, just in case you guys didn't know.
This right here is what your dad will tell you what real music is.
This was a band that like failed to the point where like Christians had to co-opt it and make them famous.
My sacrifice, Stone Cold Music video top
That wave.
The news today.
It just sounds so forced coming from him.
It looks like Ryan McGee and Matt Watson did the fusion dance and just became Super Mega. Like if Super Mega became a person.
And it's Scott Stapp.
Yeah. That's it.
Alright, if you got my fucking emotes, now is the time to use rap jams.
With arms wide open. Like if you told me that like most of these guys went on to go to like fucking like Crazy Town or whatever, you know what I mean?
Crazy Town?
Yeah, remember fucking
come
Butterfly?
My baby, come my lady. You're my butterfly, sugar baby. Come my lady, come my lady. So on and so forth.
Shake, you make me go crazy.
So on and so forth.
Smartest thing you ever did was take a chance with me.
But no, this is not what I think of when I think of Creed. I think
Here
of
we go,
this.
my Sakurai.
I think of this. My sacrifice.
Let's go.
It's my sacrifice, chat.
Why does I have a bunch of cum in it? That was a weird zoom in. Did you see that?
Why the heck are they playing in like the flood?
That's the cum, brother. That was his sacrifice.
The calm?
Yeah.
How many people do you think fuck to this?
7.
7?
Exactly 7.
And they're all from Akron, Ohio.
Yeah. No, exactly right. Like the thing is like they
3.
wouldn't have started to fuck to this, right? This would have been like track 3 because you never put like the title track or whatever like at number 3. You never put the title track at like, you know, it had to be like number 3 or number 4 to get people to actually buy the CD and like listen to the other shit. So like you would start fucking to like track 2, you know what I mean? And then it would get to this and like
and
so
this
many
is like
babies.
when you would climax.
Yeah, so many babies 9 months later to My Sacrifice.
How the fuck am I gonna send any of this to my clip person?
Why
They're not gonna know what the fuck to do with this.
Are you shitting me? This is like clipped goldmine. That guy is probably thinking of paychecks right now, brother. This dude, he turned into like a fucking cartoon like salesman in the 90s with like giant like dollar signs over his eyes.
Ups and downs, oh.
Look at that guy. He didn't even
What
have to
the
fish.
fuck?
I would hate to play a guitar in the water. That would suck. Guitars are heavy.
Why is there a tiger? Why is
Scott
there a
Steiner
kid
is
playing
somewhere
baseball with the tiger?
Drowned.
Or another
Tiger
kid? Holy
Tiger
fuck,
was the
CG
shortstop.
baseball?
Yes. It's my favorite pop punk band.
CG baseball.
Doesn't that sound like that, like modern football or like fucking, like it sounds like a, like
Oh my
one
god.
Of these, like, new pop
Oh
punk
my
bands.
god, that does sound like American football.
Yeah.
Though. That
CG
fucking
baseball.
sounds like American football.
That would be
but now
like
it's
the
CG
cover band.
baseball.
Oh, look.
And Scott Stapp pulls himself out the ocean.
Majestic Creed.
You gotta love the exaggerated post-fucking grunge hand movements, too. And the CG playing for no reason. Look at this.
No, this is fucking peak. Like a lot of people don't understand.
Sacrifice.
Like this was music.
Again, this right here is what like your fucking dad or your mom would tell you is real music.
Your uncle would like find you at a picnic, right?
You
And
got that
he's not-
play.
He's
You
not
know
gonna
what?
do the bad thing like he normally would do. Instead, he's gonna come over and he's gonna put your arm around you and be like, "Listen, like, you know, I was
Playboy
at youth
Cardi
group.
is. You
I
know
was
what?
at youth group, and this is what all the happening kids are listening
Exactly.
to. And
It's
he
like
would slip you a Creed CD like it was a fucking bag of meth.
it's like Playboy Cardi's stupid. Why don't you try out some Creed?
Like,
And then it's like his mixtape, and the first 5 songs are My Sacrifice.
yeah. And it's not like recorded from an album. It's like literally from the radio. And he like misses
my
the
God.
first 5 seconds like every
And then you
time.
see
You have no idea what the first 5 seconds of My Sacrifice sound like until 20 years later when you buy it at like a used CD shop. You're like, oh, that actually sounds kind of nice. When it's not
In
like
my-
Uncle Touchy giving me a fucking mixtape.
in my head, this like hypothetical uncle, right?
Uh-huh.
He takes like the radio recordings,
Yeah.
but he doesn't splice them well at all. So like at the end, every time at the end of My Sacrifice, it's like you hear like the really like super fucking macho like rock radio station where it's like where we only play rock.
Edge
Rock.
103.3.
Rock 96.45.
Yeah. My Sacrifice. And with the new McDonald's burger, you too can have a nice, tasty McLove. And it's fucking just keeps going back, and it does like that warble,
All the
like
butt
every
rock
time
you
in
need.
between.
Hair Nation 104.6. The
The
Stepfather.
Stepfather. And then
The
it just like,
Stepfather. Hey, what's all the racket out there?
that's too darn loud.
You need to add in the climax moan every single fucking time because every one of these they have it. My fucking rock station in my area has
Or
it.
just somebody comes like
Where
at
just
the very
somebody
end of, like,
comes in
yeah.
between every single song. Butt
103.3.
rockin' tunes like Ram Rig.
The Edge.
The Edge.
You are listening to 98.7 The Cum.
I'm gonna show you why they call it a donut hole. Oh yes.
That's where all the Bavarian cream comes from, my friend. That was a plain donut before I got to it, brother. The edging.
This is what you can expect if you follow my channel.
I'll
stop watching wrestling and I'll just go off on tangents about Creed.
Yeah, and cum.
And cum.
Which honestly, one of the same.
You're forgetting the Full Metal Jacket clips. Oh yeah, exactly. The Full Metal Jacket clips. Like it'll be like, what the fuck is that? And they'll censor out fuck because you know they gotta have the 5 fucking law firms that like fund the station to stay on there. Every single one of them is like, sir, it's the law offices of blank and blank, and then you have a fucking guy just like looking up in like horror. We have those. I work at a local TV station, right? Mm-hmm. And half of the shit that we've got is just like law firms. The fucking law offices of Creed and Korn. Of Creed and Korn.
Creed and cum.
And then you had the suspense drop with like the fucking the fucking insurance man just like looking up at the camera in shock, you know?
Yeah, it's like a fucking. That's how those commercials always go, though, right? Because it's always like the brakes of the car, and it's like, did you or somebody that you know get injured in a fucking log? Or my favorite are, were you caught drinking and driving and don't want to pay out the settlement to your other people? We can help. And it's like, man, what a fucking racket you guys are. Like, you're not even helping the good guys. This is literally just, we're going to help you try to not pay as much to the guy that you hurt by drunk driving.
No, like, I know. Like, all of these fucking
racket.
No, literally, all of these all of these law firms are like injured good, basically. I mean, like that's their whole business model. They just fucking chase ambulances for a living.
You're literally one line away from being like, that's exactly what we like to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's literally one line away. But like, you know.
I like how this is a Joshi stream, by the way, and we're just watching 2 lovers in a boat with his fucking grippers out.
With feet.
The fucking grippers, my dude.
With the feet and the CG plane. The title of your next indie band, also.
Yes.
A computer-generated airplane. Giraffe said, what is the worst wrestling chant? I think what is? I mean, like, you know, like, we fucking...
What? You know what's funny? Is that if he didn't add the question mark, he would have still been correct.
Yeah, I know.
What is the worst wrestling chant?
What is the worst wrestling chant? Because, like, you know, we fucking make fun of it up here, and I think it's a different thing from, like, you know, the kind of thing that we like fucking goofing about versus just like trying to throw a wrestler off their promo game. You know? Like, I think that's just kind of shitty. But
the
like,
thing that kills me though is that it only worked for the one guy.
No, I know. Like, it only worked for the one guy, and then
for
it just
whatever
kept
reason,
going.
like fans have just decided, like, we are so unoriginal that
No,
we're
I
going
know.
to just keep going. And
You know
it's
what?
like now 30 years later.
You know what? I'll give like AEW this, right? The fans do not go to the What channel that much, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, you hear it like once every fucking show, even when the promo's good. Like, like Ritsu in chat just now, they said that they had Kai up there cutting a promo, and people were dunking on it with the What chant, you know? And it was fine. It was an okay promo, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
at least we want tables is fun. I
yeah,
like when
exactly.
They
like we want tables. I mean, like,
with,
you know, that's like adding to the match a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Why is insufferable in more or less in every
other way?
Hey, I'm an AEW fan, and I am insufferable.
And
as you've seen,
walking billboard, yeah.
As you've seen, I am insufferable. Thank you for noticing. Anyways, match number 3.
I just want to point out here real quick. Somebody earlier said that a match between Bull Nakano and Big Hash would be awesome.
What about Big Ass?
Yeah, well, that one on the left there is in fact Big Hash. This is her tag group. The one on the right is you. And they are part of a team called 200 Kilogram because they are both big.
They are big girls. Bull versus big ass. Yeah.
Big ass. I'm big ass.
Anyways, we got to do some big ads real quick.
It's time for the 90 seconds minute Cheetos break my dudes.
Listen, it's so the match doesn't get interrupted. Okay.
Listen, I can't say shit. Twitch one time sent me an email that was like, "Hey, if you do like 3.5 minutes, like an hour, like we will up your ad revenue to like 55%." And I was like, "Okay."
You get a 5% more. 5% more. That sucks. You know?
I was literally like, you know what? Yeah, all right, we'll roll those dice.
5% more. That sucks.
I've just rolled with it since. I haven't like brought it down or anything. It's just that's been my life with the ads ever since. So yeah, that's how we go. That's how we're doing.
Now it's a fucking Nissan commercial, apparently. That's playing.
Nissan.
With like John Cena narrating it. No, because the guy narrating it literally sounds like John Cena.
What if it actually is John Cena? You just can't see him doing the narrations.
I need to not have Scott fucking Stapp's toesies on my screen anymore. With toes wide open. Oh my god. No, I hate
down
that.
on my feet.
It's actually John Cena. Wait, no, he's Honda. Oh, Honda, yeah.
Also, after this match, we got to skip down to the
excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Momoka Hanazono match.
Okay.
Just so I can make sure that Tomble gets to see it, because that is the one that they recommended that we watch.
Okay.
Just to get it out of the way, just in case they have to leave afterwards. I don't want them to miss it.
Speaking of Tomble, you still in chat? Because we'll do that next.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Hi, Tomble.
There they are.
Sorry, the chat's going by at a pace I'm not used to. So, like, if I miss people, then that's why.
That's that Ariana Brump, brother. I told you. I'm making this a very fun chat for you today. Okay, so, more context. So, you got the ones at the top. On the left is Big Hash, and on the right is you. And then on the bottom, you have the one in white is Saori Anu. She's a very, very, very popular freelancer, and the one in the red is Sairei, who was in WWE a while ago. She was the one that they gave the fucking schoolgirl gimmick to for some reason. And now she's back in Japan, and she's fucking killing it.
Great. Cool.
Big Hash, the big girl team. A lot of people like that team, just as like a heads up. Currently, it's just fun because Big Hash, the big one on top there.
Sacrifice.
Right. But
I literally have that as a fucking sound on my sound.
Do it.
Hold on.
Oh no, the video. There we go. Like, I sure am glad that he's in there and that we're out
here and that he's the sheriff and we're frozen out here and that we're in there. I just remembered we're out here. What I want to know is where's the caveman?
What a great video.
What I want to know is where's the caveman?
Is this from Saireism? I believe this is just from Sendai. I'm guessing Sendai Big Show? Well, one of several. I don't think it's Saireism because I haven't seen any of the big banners she usually does for Saireism. Plus, I think Saireism has its own canvas now.
That Shaggy meme about being frozen in there and that we're out here, right?
Yeah.
I only learned about like a couple months ago.
Oh.
So like when I learned about it, I was also like baked as fuck. So like it hit that much harder. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? No. I was Fred in that moment because like when I get high, I just don't even speak at all. right? And so that was like the first noise I made in like half an hour.
That fucking rocks, though. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah, that's some mean flexibility right there.
They are taking her to town right now. But yeah,
He was frozen out here, so yeah.
He was. All these girls are like really fun to watch. The big one likes to throw people around German suplex, silly style. The one up in the top right, that's you. She does a lot of moves that require her to like defy gravity.
Right.
like she'll bounce in the ring and like usually the cameraman will sell it and it's all really fun. Or she does like a roll to the outside called the landslide, which is really cool. And it's literally just her rolling to the outside, but it's a fun little thing.
I love these kinds of tag team dynamics though.
Yes, exactly. See, you
got like the really flexible and more kind of, you know.
And then you have meat.
Thinner team, and then you have meat.
Yes.
So,
I
just
love
fucking just like pound you into dust, but like you have the smaller, more flexible technical team. So
my favorite wrestler is Meat, and I actually put one of her matches on this list. So
Meat.
We'll watch.
I need to see Meat, but first we need to watch Tomball's match.
Yes, that is true, because I want them to be able to watch the match that they recommended.
So this
Look
is
at
like
that shit.
Man. It's like this is very small, right? But like this has the same thing I don't like about TNA's camera work, in where one camera will have a different white balance than the other. And it fucks me up a little bit.
There are some matches that I have to turn off. Just from certain promotions, because not all of them. Here's the landslide, by the way.
Let's see the landslide.
There are some promotions that just seem to not understand. Like,
oh my god, they even do they fucking hype it too.
Yes!
That's awesome.
Yes, but there are legitimately some promotions that just don't understand. Like,
hey Ashley,
like you know, color grading correction, white balance, light balance. Like sometimes it just gets so bright that you can't see, and it's like when the canvas is white, like that's you can't watch it.
Working in television, that like annoys me at like an especially high level. Yeah. So
no, I
constantly need to tell, like, you know, the people that we're putting on TV, hey, you got a white balance, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like it's the same with me with like music. Like I've worked with music for like 15 or so years. And it's just like when I hear something that's just like so egregious and I wonder like how did professionals do this? It always just kind of like irks me to a point. So I totally understand.
But no, like, you know, that's not really the main point of this. I get that.
Yeah. No, but I understand. Cause yeah, it goes
like,
from
look
like
at
the
this.
white to the gray.
And then you just have like really muted colors for no reason.
I will say that I will take this over a lot of the other promotions though, because a lot of them, even though they have multiple camera setups, will always stay at the hard cam.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why do you have those other people working?
Yeah, why do you have like multiple cameras then if you're not going to use them?
Right? Like one of my favorite promotions is called Wave. It's a silly little promotion that doesn't have a lot of people in it, but literally, like they have like one or two people down around ringside, and then they have the hard cam, and like no matter what happens, it's always the hard cam, and it's like, are you paying like a guy to do like your video editing? Like, does he not know that there's probably like two other like 20 gigabyte fucking files like on that hard drive to do these things? Like,
per show.
What the fuck? 2.5 has the best camera work. 2.5 is great. So 2.5
what is that?
Oh, it's a very, very small promotion. So it is small even in relation to like
other Japanese promotions.
This is small. Like this right here, Sendai, is technically like small. Like we're talking like about 100 people maybe.
Sure, like I'm looking at this, it's taking place in a black void, basically.
Yes. So even to them, like 2.5 is small. Like 2.5 might as well refer to how many people show up. Because fucking it is small, and there's not everyone in the company is a rookie, and fucking it's abysmal. And their camera work is usually just somebody like like in the crowd and like the hard cam is like in their hand, so it's like constantly like warbling
Shaking.
and like moving and like swaying.
They don't have enough money for a tripod? Just buy a tripod. I know that there's so many tech companies in fucking Japan.
They
Go
can't
find one.
afford the 200 yen.
No
It's
tripod,
so
no
expensive.
problem.
No, they can't even like they can't even set it like on a table. Like that's how much money they
Yeah,
don't
just
have.
set it on a table at that point.
My favorite tripod is Mace Surga. Yeah, so Humble, that is a reference to one of the other shows, and I don't think I have a show from them on that list. But one of the most unique promotions, if you want to call them a promotion,
Sure.
is called Choco Pro. And Tomble has got to see them live, which was really fucking cool. And Choco Pro takes place in like fucking
Chocolate Pro.
just a room. It's in a room, like like a fucking.
It takes
like
place in my bedroom. Yes.
Yeah, it takes place in like somebody's den, and it's fucking
An office.
The reason it's called chocolate is because the thing that they wrestle on, they don't wrestle in a ring. They wrestle on this big brown, like wrestling mat. So it is like that is the chocolate, and they are the professionals.
Is that
So
like
they
the
literally-
Ugandan like wrestling promotion that's been like making the rounds?
Yeah,
lately?
except they have ropes.
Except they have ropes and they.
Yeah, Choco Pro doesn't. Like when they do like dives and shit, they go to the window, and they literally dive off of like the windowsills.
It's incredible.
It is, and it's free. It's every week on the Choco Pro Gato Move YouTube channel. And I will say I do enjoy them. That's actually how I started streaming. Was because that was free and weekly. I used to just do watch-alongs with Choco Pro, and I used to sponsor them for shows and shit like that.
Really?
Which was really fun. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I'm also on a wrestler's ass, since you asked.
What?
Speaking of sponsors,
What?
so I helped fund a wrestler. She used to be in 2.5, and now she's freelance. They wouldn't let her keep her old costume, so she had to buy a new costume. So she did like a Twitter thing with her fans and was like, hey, if you guys want to spend like this much money, or if you want to help pay toward the fund, she's like, I'm going to put everybody's name on my outfit. And I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
All right.
So, you know, most people like big hash here, like you can see like the little square like on her thigh and
Sure.
stuff like that. Like that's a sponsor. And like you, I think, has like a Pro Wrestling Eve badge or something on her outfit somewhere. Like that's usually where those go, is like a little square or something, like just on their outfit. Not this girl. Her name's Rie Maru. I helped sponsor it, and she took photos of the sponsors on her costume, and underneath, so her new outfit is Minnie Mouse inspired.
Sure.
And you know how Minnie Mouse has like the dress on the outside, and then it has like all that fluffy shit underneath, like the big white fluff.
Yeah.
On the fluff of her ass is where all of the sponsors are. So you can
What the
only
fuck?
see it when she's hitting like the fucking Captain Ginyu pose, like bending over. And that's where all of the fucking names are. So I am in very...
That's like unhinged as fuck.
Oh yeah! No, it's
That's like
fucking crazy.
unhinged.
And I gotta tell you, one of my crowning achievements, literally one of the best moments of my life, was getting a fucking photo and her being like, hey, this is you. And I'm like, oh my god, yes. Yes, it is.
Like you were on a wrestler's ass, literally.
Yes, I get to say that until she gets a new costume. I love that. That shit's awesome.
You are right now on a wrestler's ass in Japan.
Yes.
That's crazy.
If I can find a photo, I'm going to send it to you. Just so you can
How
see.
can I, as a humble long boy, do the same?
How can I become on a wrestler's ass?
I want to have like a thing in where they have just like a giant giraffe neck just like wrap around their ass.
Just like pops out and like goes up their back like it's a whole fucking
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
and like the head pops out somewhere. It's really weird, you know? It
It's
just
like
gets
a-
like really weird and unhinged.
Have you ever played Undertale?
I have played Undertale. Yeah,
So,
yeah, no,
the
no, I know where you're going with this.
Yes. The fucking dog
The
that
fucking-
you pet, and like the fucking
fucking
head like
long
goes
dog.
off the screen and then comes back up. That
Yes.
is literally, that would be it.
You know what? Somehow, I've not done something like that yet. I need
You
to.
can do that, yeah.
I need to do that.
Just
Holy
like-
fuck!
All you have to do is make like one very long like giraffe PNG and just put it on another part of the screen.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
Easy peasy. I gave you the best idea tonight. Because all the other ideas have just been garbage.
You've given, like, you are, like, one of 5 people that have given me that idea, and I've just not done it.
Listen, that's why we're gonna make it happen.
I need to, like, note that down. In fact, I'm going to. Hold on.
Good. Put it on the list.
I literally have a running list of, like, model ideas, right?
I love it.
I'm gonna note it down as a redeem.
I make all my own models, so I don't get to do like too much cool stuff. Like because mine is all through what is it called? Vroid Studio.
Sure.
So I don't have like the, you know, like the really nice looking just like cartoon kind of whatever. I just fucking I go on there and I made one that was like just nice enough to suffice, and I'm gonna ride that fucking design out until I can't no more. Ooh, double power bomb. Let's go.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, it hasn't cost me a dime, so I am very happy with it. I was really hoping to find a photo. So yeah, my Twitter account got fucking destroyed. Look at that goddamn suplex.
Man.
My Twitter account got destroyed, so now I just don't have like all of my past DMs and stuff. And that's pretty much how I had like all of my photos of Rie Maru. So unfortunately.
Oh my god. Wow. Jeez.
I know.
Holy. Wait, no. Get
Oh,
out of
let's
there.
go.
It's lo-fi. Wrestle.
That's our new stream.
Alright, so. Jeez.
So
Most
we're gonna
simple forms
skip-
of being addressed by these.
What up?
By these Yoshi is stuff like portraits signed to use sometimes with messages.
Yeah.
Hold on. What now?
Ba, 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 ba.
A lot of Yoshi
Oh.
seen is very small and often accepts. Hold
So
on.
basically,
My
what Tumble's trying to
chat's a
say
little
is
squished.
a lot of Japanese like Joshi promotions, they're so small that they kind of have to do more things to get support. So it's a lot more personal in the way that like you would see WWE. So like WWE, they'll sell you a t-shirt, but you can't get like a signed autograph or whatever, especially like to you. Like
Right, yeah.
unless you pay for like the you know, backstage pass or something like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of Joshi promotions, like if you're like really into them, and if they happen to be one of the smaller ones, especially, you know, like Sendai, like we just watched, or, you know, a couple of these other ones here, like I said, like they have to kind of do more to get the support. So they usually have websites where they'll all have their own like personal store, and they will just sign like an autograph like directly to you. and it's fucking awesome. And if you do that enough, like they will just remember you. Like fucking like Rie Maru, like she follows me on Twitter. Like I've gotten followed by a bunch of like wrestlers on Twitter just from, you know, interacting with them enough to the point where one of the other girls from 2.5, her name's Flying Penguin. Like I think I was the first person to draw her fan art. And then I just kept doing it, and she kept loving it. And eventually she emailed, or she sent me like a Twitter DM, and she was like, hey, she's like, can I use your designs for like stickers? And I was like, yes, of course. Like that's fucking awesome. And it's just, yeah, they're like really small. They're very, you know, it's very quaint and fucking interpersonal once it gets to like, you know, you can order like the autographs, and like I said, like you order enough of them or like you support them enough, and they will be like, hey, it's you. And that's like, yes, that is me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you how many fucking signed portraits I have. Like if I said like over $1,000 worth, that might be on the smaller end of funds.
All right. You know what? Based.
Yeah.
Based.
We're going to go to Momika Hanazono versus Mei Suruga next. It's the one that says from Gato
There you
Move. Yes. And it should be timestamped, I believe. If not,
It
like I wrote
starts
there,
at
it says
1
starts at
hour.
120.
20 minutes. Hey,
And
there you
it
go.
is.
Well, there he
Let's
is,
go.
right there.
So don't worry, we're no risk of watching a man wrestle. He's just introducing the match.
All right.
Yeah, as Tobal said, Momika is their favorite active wrestler right now. I have also been in like calls with them as they were ordering Momika Hanazono merch. Because every once in a while, like new stuff will pop up like at random, and it's just like, oh hell yeah, let's go.
So chat, I hate to take the wind out of the sails, right?
Ad time.
You know it, baby.
It's time for a 90 seconds minute Cheetos break, my dudes.
Go get those Cheetos. Rawl's on after this.
Yeah, buddy.
Ad time. Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
Baby, it's ad time.
I really hope you all have been enjoying this so far. I know that, like, for many of you,
I'm ruining the stream, but you know, I'm trying to make it.
Well,
fun,
listen. I'm not addressing
your chat
you,
is like, listen, like fucking. I don't want to see a crab. I came here to see a giraffe.
I don't think that's the case, but
being ripped from them right now.
I don't think that's the case because the majority of them are from you, and actually, no, I shouldn't really say that.
Listen,
that's a bit, you know.
Yeah, that's putting yourself down,
disparaging.
your stream down. Exactly.
I'll say this. For many of you, it's it is your first time seeing me.
Yeah.
Right? I am a wrestling giraffe. I play a lot of wrestling games. I play a lot of RPGs. Right now, one of my favorite things to just kind of have on stream is I like to tell little stories with my Twitch chat and like create our own understanding of things. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna wait until the ad's done because the majority of them probably can't hear me say this. So I'm gonna wait.
They shouldn't hear it. They're not paying to support you. Fuck those guys.
Nah.
I'll say it. You legally can't say it. I'll say it.
Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Hey, welcome back to Raw. What were you gonna say?
I love chat. You guys, even despite your financial situations, are all such loyal followers of your favorite giraffe-shaped streamer, and I wish you the best of your day.
I will say, I really hope everyone has been having fun tonight. For many of you, it's your first time seeing me, and I will say, if you enjoy the content of Ariana, you'll probably enjoy my stuff. I do a lot of wrestling games as well. I do a lot of role-playing games, strategy games. One of my favorite things that I like doing on stream right now is I enjoy taking small things and making just like sort of new takes on them with my Twitch chat. For example, a couple weeks ago, I was playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 on stream, and we took John Cena's Road to WrestleMania, and we made it all about a fucking civil war between the USA and Wisconsin, because Wisconsin just tried to leave the US and take Culver's and the cheese farms with them, as well as MVP and William Regal and Umaga. It was very, very funny. It was very, very based. Another thing we're doing right now is I'm playing Animal Crossing New Horizons for the first time in like 3 years, and I'm trying to make an island and where we try and just like evict most of the island and get most of the people with paws off the island and replace them with villagers that have hooves. We will create the hooved hombres and mujeres in place of the paw people. And that will take multiple streams. If shit like that sounds really fun to you, then fucking follow me, because that is the kind of stuff that I love fucking doing on stream. And I love having people to just like laugh about that kind of stuff with, as I just kind of have it unfold, you know?
Not to break the immersion or anything.
Yes.
When Giraffe said they wanted to do something with me, I was like, first off, yes. But second of all, they were like, hey, like, let's play GM mode in this wrestling game. And I was like, all right. And they were like, why? What's up? And I'm like, I've never played that. And they're like, it's like one of the most popular games. You've never played it? And I was like, no. I've not played like anything before in my entire life. So you're going to have to be a little patient and let me like learn how to do it. And they're like, well, maybe we'll come up with something else. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, like when I bring people on stream, I want them to, feel like they're in their element. I mean, like,
listen,
there's something like this. I've never watched fucking Joshi, and
Yeah.
that's why I brought you on here, because you have context.
Here's the
So-
thing. I am happy being the weakest link of any collab that I do. So I am more than happy to be here, even if we're not playing like the worst GM mode of whatever would have ever happened in your life, and are instead doing
Inferior
this.
Sinister, thank you for following. You're now a member of the Long Boy Club for life. Appreciate you.
Hello, Ari Sapien. Sorry, I was just beating Sinister to it.
Ari, do you want some of the cereal I was having?
Absolutely. What were you having?
The big
fucking-
homie has arrived.
I fucking love cereal. Nino, what are you eating?
Hello, Mario.
And whatever Giraffe Seb calls their fans. Everyone here's a member of the Long Boy Club.
That's true.
Here.
Non-negotiable. So that's Momoka. She's a little shit.
I'll call them clubbies. Why not? Clubbies.
The Long Boys.
All my clubbies.
We're called Crabagools. Because I am Italian. And I formed the house. I formed the House of Torture within the Long Boy Club. Stop trying to make the House of Torture happen.
To do the launch, I had to do the lunch shift and went to Subway after.
I'm sorry.
She is very much a gremlin. It looks like yes.
Yes. She is like the epitome of gremlinism in Joshi wrestling.
So question, and this is not going to like change my opinion, right?
Yes.
But is all this shot with one camera?
Tomble would know that. It very well might be, because that's very on brand for Choco Pro. Because
Okay.
this is the company from within Choco Pro lives. This is like the original promotion of that. This one has multiple? Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, Choco Pro is recorded with like a fucking hand cam like iPhone. And it's impressive for how little they seem to work with. But this one I think has like actual video.
Oh man.
I think they're just doing this for the introductions. Tomble showed this match to Tracy on Tuesday. Yeah, I heard.
Anyways, I'm Ebbing Rude. How is everyone today? I'm doing fantastic. This has been a very fun stream so far. It's been fun being introduced to this side of wrestling that I am not so aware of. And doing it with my good friend the Ariona, and going off topic about new metal and Creed and shit like that. And other various things of that nature. My sacrifice. So on and so forth.
Yes. So we have watched Bull Nakano versus Aja Kong in the cage match. We have watched Mayu Iwatani and Kagetsu, the Christmas Eve show before Kagetsu leaves. We watched Big Hash and You versus Saudi Anu and Saire, and now we are watching Momoka Hanazono and Mei Suruga in Gato Move. Sorry, I had to be professional for a second.
It's alright. Those are some fucking good matches to show a new fan. The first one was very good. I mean, like, I'm able to recognize both of them just because of how, like, significant to, like, you can
only say nice things about Momoka. God damn it, Tomo. Listen, I think
both, like, significant to the style, but also just, like, to wrestling in general. So, on that basis, I was able to, like, recognize them. So.
I like Frosted Flakes. It's not my favorite cereal, but I'd eat them. So you can see like those pieces of paper that are hung up next to the flag back there.
Yes.
That's all from the fans. So the fans can pay like $10 to $15 or so, and they write like a little message on them, and they'll usually have their name, and they'll introduce that.
Hello. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's just one of their. That's just one of the little things that they do to, like we were saying before, how the like support works in a lot of these promotions. which is good because, you know, I wish I could help support like some of my favorite wrestlers outside of just like buying a shirt that somebody probably gets like 2 pennies out of. Yeah, it's one of my favorite pin escapes. Let's go. High speed opening.
That was good. This is gonna sound very uncultured to me, but very AEW-esque. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
I was just messing with it. But no,
Listen.
yeah, since a lot of the people in AEW seem to be inspired by a lot of Japanese wrestling, like it's not very it's not that big of a stretch.
Yeah. Outlaw Mud Show reference.
Oh yeah, May has been on AEW as well, yeah.
I want to watch matches of like the Ugandan promotion that's been making the rounds lately.
Yes. This almost like what you were talking about. I don't know what you grew up watching, but I remember one of the things that was like not viral, but like I guess as viral as something you get in like the early 2000s or whatever.
Sure.
People used to watch like fucking videos of like homeless fights.
What?
I've had to explain this. I've had to explain this to so many people. So there used to be also.
You need to provide some context, yes.
Sean knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Look at this.
Sean is my fucking dude. Yeah, that's Momokana Zono right there. In case you ever needed to, like, if you could have like one, that's it. Momokana Zono.
You know what?
Yeah, like.
You know what? I can fuck to this. Why not?
That's what I'm saying. It's this.
This is very silly. I like this.
Yes. No, this is the best. I fucking love Momokana Zono.
Between this, Creed, and also just being able to be here with a friend, this has been a great night so far.
Yeah, that's why I do this shit, man. But Ari knows I love my silly wrestling. Yes, Tombull is a gremlin, so it only makes sense that they would also like gremlin wrestling.
We gotta bring back bum fights that'll help curb the homeless problem. Can we start doing them over here in the Midwest then? Because we really need that shit.
And I actually get into that though. So like what I was gonna say is there used to be a whole series and it was called Bum Fights. Okay. But what they would do is they would go into like these really shitty areas and they would like literally like toss a steak or like whatever like in between these guys and be like, listen, like you guys have to fight and like the winner gets like a fucking steak or like a McDonald's double quarter pounder or some shit. And it used to be like whole VHS tapes of just like a compilation of homeless people like scrapping in the middle of like Manhattan. Like yeah, like it was, I'm not gonna say fun.
Dude, if you did that now, that would get you canceled. Yes! That's actually incredible. Wow.
Like, listen, this would be Logan Paul's racket. If
no, like you know what? Right now. That is very Logan Paul type beat there. Yeah. Yes.
The homeless fights in the suicide forest.
No. I'm gonna put a kibosh on that, my friend. Put the kibosh on that one.
Like you also have to remember, like around the time that was big, like there were entire video compilations of just dying.
That'd be a fucking Mr. Beast video. No, like he would get like 100 like subs, like randomly, and then he would put them in pro wrestling matches. You know?
Now, here's the thing. Here's what he would do. He would go, guys, today I have found a way to fix the homelessness problem. Today. That's right. In this very video, I have collected 1,001 homeless men from all around the world.
You collected them like they're trading cards?
He literally like went around in like the Beast van or whatever the fuck he travels in.
Beast van!
And he like opened the sliding doors and they all ran out and just grabbed some fucking homeless guys. And he would put on like a fucking Mortal Kombat tournament where they just have to keep going up the tower, and at the top would be like the fucking Kimbo Slice of homeless men. And they would all have to just work their way up to fucking this fight and become the king of the homeless. and they would just execute
the Peacemobile. LOL. I organized a deathmatch tournament featuring the homeless population of Burbank, California, and the last man standing gets $500,000.
The losers, on the other hand,
they go home with nothing, or you know, they would go home if they had a home to go to.
They just dump them in the ocean. Here she goes. She's gonna fly. Batman.
Ooh!
Oh, she got confettied. She got streamered.
I just love the idea of like there being of like Mr. Beast having his own like mystery machine type of vehicle.
Let's go pick up some homeless guys, Scoob.
No, it wouldn't be. It would be Scoob. It would be like one of his friends, like Chandler or something.
Chandler,
or like Carl.
Friends.
You know.
Carl. That kills people.
Shares it with Lex Luger.
Oh god.
And the winner gets to wrestle AEW's own King of the Bubs, Eddie Kingston.
Let's go. I would watch that. I would watch the fuck out of that. Are you shitting me? You give me the strongest homeless man and put him against Eddie Kingston.
And the winner gets the Continental Crunch Wrap.
That'd be awesome. That'd be fucking awesome. Damn.
It's fucking Tony Khan's newest title.
Dude, if
the
Tony Khan ran
the fucking bum title.
Fight. Tony Khan, I would take back every bad thing I ever said about that cokehead if he started bum fights back up again.
The Continental Triple Crunch Wrap. I knew you were based, Sinister.
Let's fucking go.
I knew you were fucking based from the moment I saw you.
I would also eat a Continental Crunch Supreme.
It just has like a bit of like all 7 continents under the wrap.
That'd be awesome. Just
like a
forming
piece of meat
Pangea.
from like an animal that you would find in all 7 continents.
Yeah, little crocodile, some kangaroo.
Some like pheasant, so on and so forth. Is this some American thing I'm too bruv to understand? No. It's a new legacy bit.
Yeah.
Because like throughout the Rumblethon, right? They kept like a running list of like a prize pool. Hey Shay J, welcome to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. Hey, hey, did you see the Triple H promo? I did, yes. I mean, like, I saw it at work because I have SmackDown playing at work because my station's a Fox affiliate. Oh, yeah.
What did he say?
He basically kind of like tried to. I don't want to say damage control the whole fucking Rock thing. But he was sort of like, The Rock doesn't make the rules I do, you know?
No. Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
I thought you said he was gonna go out there and be like, "Nah, I'm not here to do damage control. I've already let Bailey have that under control." And then like all the fucking idiots in the crowd just like giggle, and he's like, "Ha ha ha ha," and then he just leaves.
Get the damage control under control.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's like, what happens when she gets it under control? Would it be like repaired control or something?
Damage.
It's just damage.
She gets the Joker Jared Leto tattoo.
No, exactly. I was gonna say, oh well, okay, well it just becomes Jared Leto. Then
Listen,
okay,
there's plenty
yeah,
of room if you use
water.
the fucking 2K24 model. Plenty of room for that tattoo on that fucking thing.
I saw that model, like her fucking
sports entertainment. It's horrifying.
I spoke to many times about my love of sports entertainer Paul Triple H Levesque. I will say,
loves Triple H.
During the Royal Rumble pre-show, right? It was weird hearing like the panel people call Triple H by his actual name. Mm-hmm. That was really, really weird to me. I do not like that. I don't like that at all.
They should call him Triple Paul.
They call him Triple H Paul Levesque on the panel. And that was like really weird to me. I don't like that.
Actually, they call me the Cerebral Assassin.
They call me the game. My brain cells are positively exploding.
Just like my balls.
I definitely would be upset Triple H walked into a busy highway. That would really break me up.
Listen, it's all
That
about the
would
walk
break
and
your
how you take it.
brain. It would break your brain in two.
My brain, not like the one from my sacrifice with all the cum.
Hello, my friend. We meet again. It's been a while. Where should we begin? Feels like forever.
This is the worst. Why is anybody here? Why are there 19 people here? And I'm one of them.
You know what? I love that they're here. I love that they can hear my shitty Triple H.
Horrible. What a terrible bit that we have created for this stream.
Listen, I'm the king of terrible bits. All right, I'll run shit into the ground.
Listen, he has the longest neck that makes for the shortest jokes.
Exactly. I'm the longest neck, and I got the longest fucking jokes.
So, have you ever thought about this? Like, imagine you're a giraffe, right?
Let's
You
get
don't have to
unhinged.
imagine. I would have to imagine. You don't have to imagine. But imagine you're a giraffe, and you start to choke.
Yeah.
About how far down does that shit have to go before you just fucking die of, like, asphyxiation? Like, would it have... Like, with us, like, we have such
Ow.
short necks that you could just, like, you know, by the time it gets to, like, my throat, like,
Well, you gotta think.
That's where it's lodged, right?
Well, like, you gotta think. It's gotta travel down some ways before you actually start feeling the effects of a choke. Right?
But, like, with breathing,
Like, it's
is
gotta
that
reach
true,
a certain
though?
point.
Like, the diaphragm is so far down on a giraffe. You know what I mean? Like, it's not with us where, like, the lungs are there, and then it's just all, you know, and then it gets to, like, the diaphragm. The giraffe is, like, 90% neck.
Imagine trying to cough it back up. My friend, I have experience. It's hell. All right? It's
Yeah.
hell. Have you ever tried, like, eating, like, those colorful bears in class, and you thought that they were, like, you know, gummy bear? Jeez!
Let's go!
Man, look at that arm.
Look at that arm. I love that shit. And she's not letting go.
Have you
She's a
seen how
little shit.
giraffes fight? It's freaking brutal. Yes! Dude!
Oh, where they just, like, swing their fucking neck
Yes.
sticks at each other? I
We
love
find
that
mates like no one else. All right?
shit. I love that.
We are the best partners in the animal kingdom because we will literally break our necks to
true.
fucking fuck, you know?
Crabs will eat one another, so I can't say the same.
Well, then maybe
There are-
giraffes need to get a bit more metal.
There are, like, entire crab species where if the babies just suck, they'll just eat them.
They have a culture, dude. Y'all have a culture of cannibalism. What? That's crazy.
No, it's just, listen, like, they have such a hard time already existing because a lot of crabs will either get, like, harvested, basically, or they will just get eaten by, like, a shitload of other animals. That, like, there's an entire species that's now considered invasive called the European green crab. And it was brought to the Americas from Europe. I don't remember exactly where in Europe. But it has just, like, overtaken an entire fucking seaboard in America. And you can't eat them. They have, like, no edible meat. They just exist to fuck up the entire ecosystem now.
You know
And
what,
I love
Chad?
that.
I think giraffes should be invasive species everywhere. You know?
Could you imagine having a
I think they
giraffe
should be.
indentation? Imagine going to the bathroom and instead of like fruit flies or whatever, you see like 18 giraffes just like crushed into your fucking bathroom.
No, like you
would
have one like
shit
pop out of
directly
the
out of my
toilet like
ass.
it's Skibbity Toilet, like I did
Skibbity
the
giraffe!
other day. You know?
That would be horrible.
You know what? I still need to find a Skibbity expert to bring them on stream
I saw
to
you
fucking
post about trying
introduce
to
me
find- Yes,
to fucking introduce me to the world of Skibbity Toilet.
I need that to happen. By the way, I need like the world's like leading Skibbity lore master. I need like the Matt Pat of fucking Skibbity to fucking just show up and teach you everything.
Who would win between a giraffe? A giraffe. The fucking
I think a
opponent doesn't
giraffe.
matter. The giraffe
I do
wins.
think a giraffe would smack that motherfucker to the moon.
The opponent doesn't matter. The giraffe wins.
Yeah. Even when it's another giraffe.
Exactly. The giraffe. I want the giraffe to win in this confrontation.
The cyber shell of Skibidi Toilet, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I need the cyber shell of Skibidi Toilet to come on stream. That way, I can learn all about Skibidi Toilet.
If you had the cyber shell of Skibidi Toilet, it would just be like you listening to somebody say "fuck Skibidi Toilet" like 80 times, like in a 3-hour span, though.
To come on what? I said to come on my stream. All right.
Yeah, come on his stream.
Can I not say come anymore, chat? Like the word come?
That's why he's wearing glasses. They're actually goggles. They protect from the cum.
I gotta watch out for the projectiles, you know?
I hope this recommendation of mine hasn't been too much of a weird tone shift. I don't think so at all. This shit fucks. I love this match. Oh.
Dude, have you heard the conversations we've had throughout this?
Yeah.
We've had like 10 tone shifts in the span of like 20 minutes.
I think the problem is sometimes Tomble sees having a conversation over a match is like a detriment to the match, and I just see it as talking over something cool. So
yeah, I know.
I can assure you, Tomble, we are both enjoying this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying this a lot. This is fun. It's just I like talking, all right?
Yeah.
I like talking on stream. Your recommendation is in fact good enough. Don't worry.
Yes. Even with the little free face.
That's what happens when you throw a bunch of people that have ADHD. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Dude.
That is 100% correct.
Dude, I have massive ADHD. It's why I never post any videos. I have fucking Adderall to help me do that. You know?
Did I ever tell you about
Adderall's the apple of my eye. It's written up on the fucking office of my workplace.
That's your live, laugh, love.
Yeah, that is my live, laugh, love.
It's just ADHD in like giant bold letters. And they're all very straight.
Yeah. Oh!
Fucking domed.
No, what were you saying?
I don't remember. That's the best part of being a streamer is I never have to remember what I'm talking about. You just go on to the next thing. Speaking of the next thing, we were talking about My Little Pony off stream.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have got to ask you.
Me?
Yes, I have to ask you specifically.
Okay.
Who is best pony?
Fluttershy and/or Twilight. It depends on the day, really.
Twilight,
Ross voice. Oh, stop the damn match! She broke her smack dab in half.
Now you gotta go.
She broke her damn smack in half. By God.
In fact, I think I see a very handsome young man here.
Fuck you, Kane. Fuck you, Kane.
Why, Triple H? You son of a bitch! Why? Tell me why!
You know what? Ain't nothing but a heartache, son.
But
Ari's new legacy impressions are unhinged. No, they are.
Fluttershy was my friend's favorite. She even did a cosplay. Maybe I can find another picture of that. But who would I say mine is?
Ooh.
See, Rainbow Dash was my favorite growing up. But I think I would have to say Rarity now.
Rainbow Dash is my third favorite right
That's
now.
a good favorite, though.
It's my third favorite.
I feel like
I think all of them are good
definitely
favorite
understand.
material, though.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, who is best non-main six?
So many good fucking...
Yeah, I'm aware.
So many good ones.
This is the My Little Pony portion of the stream, by the way.
You're gonna make me choose?
Yeah. And you can give either canon or fanon names. I probably will know it. Hope you enjoyed the match. We did enjoy the match.
Yeah, we did. It's good. I liked that. It was fun. I liked that. Thank you.
You dirty
Best
hooves
character
guy.
of
You Lyra guy.
That's not the main six.
Big Bon guy. You big Dr. Hooves.
Okay, so I have two answers to this.
Okay.
Right? I think in terms of just if I leave...
Gun to your head, somebody says...
No, you know what? Actually, no. I have one answer. And that answer is Trixie. Trixie is the best fucking character.
Fantastic choice.
Listen, a lot of people... Many people do not like, the first episode that she was in, but it makes a lot more sense if you look at it through the context of a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
because Trixie is such a heel. She's such a heel. Yeah. It's fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah. That pony's name was Triple H.
yeah, exactly. I said I said that man's name was Trixie H.
Said that name's Big Macintosh.
Big Macintosh. What?
So Sinister just said the best pony are the Big Lebowski ponies. I actually made myself a custom Big Lebowski pony from that season 2 episode.
I got a huge question. How the fuck did we get on the topic of My Little Pony? LOL.
We both like My Little Pony.
Me and Ari,
I liked. Yeah. I'm still aware of it though.
Yeah. But no.
Yeah, we were bronies together.
Trixie.
We used to LARP and like wear the Lyra backpacks and fucking get in each other's hands and clap. Like it was really fun. I wish you guys could have been there. Bronies? We were cronies. We used to go, "There's the bat!" and fucking point at the guy in the sky. It's not Weird Al. What was his fucking name? It was like Cheese Sandwich or some shit like that.
That's a cheese sandwich, son.
I said that man.
It's fucking cheese sandwich, son. You know what? That sounds a little bit like Weird Al Yankovic to me. Son.
I look at Cheese Sandwich and I go, I see a handsome young man.
I see a strapping young 65-year-old man under that under those hooves. I'll tell you what.
I think the crowd is looking at you going, man, he can play one hell of an accordion, son.
So canonically, I stopped watching, right? Probably after around season 2 ended.
Most lives living in Amish paradise.
Did Pinky and like Cheese Sandwich canonically fuck, or is that like a family pairing?
They fucked.
Did they?
Nothing beats a cool, refreshing sip of water.
Thank you. Oh wait, I need more water.
Hydrate. Let's go.
But no, I will. I'll fucking answer this, and then we gotta take an actual break.
I need to have.
But yes, Cheese Sandwich and Pinkie Pie canonically fucked, and they had a child at the end of the show. There is literally their child's name is Little Cheese. That is actually what it is. And you know, I've had too many thoughts about, you know,
ponies canonically fucking.
And I want this to be the last thing I say before I go on break, because I want to leave people with this. Pinkie Pie doesn't have sex, she fucks.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, she 100% fucks. And meanwhile, Cheese Sandwich just has sex. You know?
Yeah. And he plays the accordion during.
Yeah, exactly.
Like imagine Weird Al fucking. Like that's exactly it.
Sure. And he plays Come With Me Now by the Congos. He doesn't even play his own music. He just plays Come With Me Now.
Yeah.
Anyways, break time.
Next time.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Three. Hi. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. I'm glad all of you are enjoying the show so far. Thank you. Thank you very much for fucking sticking around. I have been reading, and I'm so fucking appreciative. I'm glad.
You read?
Yeah. What? Pasta Mania? What? You know what? What? I know that there's like a wrestling cookbook out there, right?
And I want it. I also own it.
And I want to go just full, because I have like an actual like wrestling luchador mask here with me. And like I've worn it and like I've worn it on stream before, right?
Nice.
I would like to just get like a fucking chef's hat and apron and put on the mask and just cook some of the fucking stuff in there. I think that would be a fun stream.
That'd be awesome.
Now the challenge, and this will be the fun part, is how long does it take for the mask to be set on fire because I'm a shit cook?
Not only that, but can you imagine like wearing that mask, but also like being over like a fucking like a hot stove for long enough to like do a substantial enough cooking stream.
Oh.
Like you would be sweating like a motherfucker inside that thing.
Plus,
You would basically be steaming your face.
I would be
You'd look like a fucking ham.
I would become steamed hams. Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
No, that would be miserable.
I need steamed hams, but in JR's voice.
Damn, steamed ham, son.
I will see more. I've made it. Despite your directions.
Actually, the Aurora Borealis,
Yeah,
you're saying that takes place in the local vicinity within your kitchen at this time of a day? In this part of the world?
Well, glass and telly within your kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh, well, by God, hell yeah. Can I see it?
No.
Fuck no. Anyway, steamed hands, but it's JR. Listen. I want that. I want what you just said here, Inferior Sinister. I want steamed hands, but it's JR and King.
That'd be awesome.
All I'm saying is, I think I would make a pretty good steamed ham. Especially if I went to get fast food and disguised as my own cooking. Delightfully devilish, Jim.
That would fuck.
My fucking short editor, he's got basically no knowledge of wrestling, and this is only making it worse for him.
That fucking rocks. This is gonna be like actual torture to somebody who doesn't know anything about wrestling.
I'm gonna make his brain explode.
It's like, imagine having somebody like translate something without like the Rosetta Stone or like any amount of like knowledge beforehand. It's like giving somebody a Chinese food menu and just being like, yeah, you want to just put that in like Russian.
Can you read
for me?
Chinese, please?
And they're like, no. And you're like, well, I'm gonna need that by next week.
No. Hold on. I got
If you
it.
don't, you're gonna go to hell before you die. Please. No. No.
wait.
That's a
Did that
stone,
play?
Luigi. You didn't make it.
Hold on, did it play?
No.
Yes,
No.
it did.
No.
But yeah. Anyways.
Toast. So next, I thought it would be very funny if we came back and immediately watched the Chubby King Kong promo.
Oh my God, you really did have the wrestler's name.
I told you.
The name on the wrestler's butt.
So I sent them the photos Riemaru sent me of her outfit, and that is like, you can see the fucking crease like directly down the fucking ass. Yeah,
they were literally sitting on your name in some places.
Like I said, the place it is, like, you literally cannot see that name.
Yeah.
Unless she is like exposing the name to you.
And to do that, she literally has to show her whole ass.
Yeah, she like has to goatsy her sponsors.
You're literally next to TK. Is that actually Tony Khan? No.
Yeah, that right there.
Nah.
That's him.
Also, yes, by the way, Hangman.
Yeah.
A necessary mental refresher. Hangman Adam Page.
Don't worry, Chubby King Kong will be a nice refresher too.
Anyways, where is Chubby King Kong?
Right there, you were just over it.
This?
Right down the middle.
Here?
Little down. Just Chubby King Kong. There you go. So this is literally 30 seconds.
King Kong. Yes. King Kong. Chubby King Kong. Chubby King. Little Chubby King Kong. Yeah. I'll kill you.
Give you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know what? Cool.
Alive death.
They're gonna kill them. Alive murder.
A live murder, and then we edit off with fucking British people. What?
I love it. So that was a segment, or like a kind of spin-off that they were doing during the pandemic. It was the main promotion's called TJPW, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, and they did like an English show called That's JPW.
Okay.
And the whole gimmick was, they would have the girls come out, and the girls would try their goddamnedest to do a little introduction in English, and then there would be English commentary to follow the matches, which doesn't happen an awful lot with Joshi Pro. So like that was kind of the gimmick, and that's one of my favorite promos from that entire thing. Brooks, Aki, and Shuk, all very nice in person. Yes, Shoko Nakajima, which I think I have a Shoko Nakajima match on there. But next, I would like you to watch
next.
Saya Ida versus Julia. It's the second from the top there. Was right there.
This is your favorite. Okay, so one of these is your favorite wrestler.
Yes. So my favorite wrestler is Saya Ida.
Okay.
And you can skip, I think, an awful lot of this because I think it's just a lot of talking.
It's a lot of preamble.
Yeah, so right about there.
You
Yeah.
got like a minute.
Yeah.
It's preamble.
this-
I can't really understand anyways because
These are both wrestlers from Stardom currently, but this was somebody's like anniversary show, like their 40th anniversary. So they went onto this show and they're having a match. And when these two fight, it's always just very fun because they both just smack the ever-loving shit out of each other. But also the other one, the one in white, her name's Julia, and she is Italian, just like me. She's Italian-Japanese and born in London, so
It's like Vinny Vine sauce.
She is. She's a silly little Bing Bong Biahu man.
And she spins and whatnot.
Spin!
She likes to spin.
Spin! But yeah, Saya Ida is very fun because she is just very, very jacked. Like, I don't know if you'll even get to see a fraction of how fucking buff she is in like any of this match, but she is just so fucking awesome.
Bing Bong, part of her gimmick would make her unstoppable. This match
true.
is literally Vinny versus Joel.
Grandma has died.
Granddad.
Granddad.
And also
Please,
Sprunk.
spoons!
Also Sprunk maxing.
Yes. Where's the bulk bogan of Stardom?
I drank the game to death.
But yeah, Saya she does the chops. She is a gorilla. They literally call her Gori-chan. She is a macho gorilla. She is
gorilla.
Yes, she wears green. She is a fan of Kamen Rider. She is an artist. I love her. She's my favorite. I have like 1,000 fucking things of her, like different like acrylic stands. I have a giant like wall scroll of her. She's like my favorite. Yeah, Julia is a very silly. She loves headbutting people, and I think that actually happens in this match. I think her head is just indestructible. Like that's why she does it so often. Like I think it causes her like no problems. She just like literally does not give a fuck. Also, those boots were made for her by a fan, and she promised that after she got back from her injury that she would still wear them, and she has been wearing it probably like 3 outfits now.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's never been like any of the like near the top of the show. Like she's hardly even near the middle. Even though she's probably as good as a lot of people in the middle, they definitely don't treat her as such in the show. And so she relies again on a lot of that fan support and stuff. And a fan made her those boots, and unfortunately, I think it was like less than a month later, she tore her ACL and her LCL.
Oof.
So she was out for about 9 months, and she never got to wear them for that long while. So yeah, she's been wearing them ever since she came back.
You know what? That's incredibly sweet. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I enjoy how like community focused Joshi seems to be.
Yeah. No, and a lot of it kind of depends on that too. Like a lot of them, like you'll even sense like the regret, I guess, when it comes to like right now, the yen is doing very bad. So, you know, things cost more, and they're having a lot of trouble putting on shows. And a lot of the smaller promotions have had to be like, hey, you know, You know, I know this sucks, but you know we have to raise prices by like 500 yen or whatever like that. And you can always tell that they always seemed so fucking bummed about it. But usually the fans are pretty understanding, which is also good. You know, if they were to cause like a fuss, it would kind of be a lot less awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, she's lowering her strap. Let's go. Perk Saya.
Saya.
Yeah. Let's go. All this for a diving bulldog.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's go. Lands directly on that injured knee. Yeah, let's go.
On the surgically repaired knee.
A surgically repaired knee of Saida?
Goring up.
Dude, I told you, like, you're never gonna remember the surgically repaired. It's such a perfect fucking combination of words.
I love the surgically repaired knee of blank, you know?
The surgically repaired knee of Seth Rollins.
The surgically repaired knee of the Ariona.
Yes. The only thing I've ever broke is my ankle.
I've actually never broken a bone. I've had like strains, right?
I would recommend keeping that trend for as long as possible.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying it in the context of, oh boy, I really hope my femur breaks, you know?
Yeah, you don't. Nobody wakes up and goes like, man, if I snapped my forearm, that'd be awesome today.
The surgically repaired
ankle of the Ariona.
The surgically repaired neck of Giraffastep.
Oh god. I've only broken my back. Oh no. Oh no.
Only broken my back. Seth Rollins femur breaker. It's the fucking SCP.
Can you imagine an SCP that just goes
It just laughs like Waluigi. Like literally every time Seth comes up on screen and I'm watching like wrestling like with my chat, I'm just like
I love it. Also, like, that referee's name is Tommy, and she has been doing it for like fucking 1,000 years. Like that's one of those things that you get grandfathered into it if you stay long enough, just because of like honor system and shit like that in Japan. Yeah. That you will just see referees that have been doing this for like 30 plus years, and if they can still go, they still go. Tommy's one of them. Can't kick you out if you're still doing your job.
Only broken my heart, damn it, Marley and Me.
Marley, was that the dog movie?
Yeah, that was a dog movie.
Was that the dog movie with fucking Lightning McQueen?
I want this guy hung up by jumper cables.
Wow. I think that's how it ends, right? They hang
I want this
Marley.
fella hung up by jumper cables. What now?
They fight. Oh shit! Oh, she didn't get it. She does a very interesting move that sets up like a muscle buster, and then isn't. It's like the most like overcomplicated setup for the move that she could possibly hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like she goes for the Kaniku Buster and then just does not get it off. It's so odd.
Oh look, it's Julia.
Julia. Julian. Oh, another headbutt. Let's go.
You gotta do the Kickstarter narration.
I don't remember that. Ding. Welcome
all right.
to
Hello. I'm a boy, and I like playing with my toys.
With my toys. I'll fucking kill you.
If you want to buy my toy, I'll fucking kill you.
I love it. I'm Ronald McFlonald. Oh god, another headbutt. Fucking, this is gonna rattle Saya's brain. She's not used to head trauma.
It's
good. Fucking.
We got the CTE arrow and everything. Let's go.
Take my wife, please.
Take my wife, please.
I love that so much. I think Julia won, guys.
I'm gonna sell you the best night of your life.
I like they're just screaming it too. Like
no,
they're not.
No, it fucking sounds like a ransom.
Into fucking chaos.
It just like it's not a pitch. It's a cry for help. You know.
Like, did you watch the playthrough they did of Pikachu's Quest, the RPG Maker game?
No.
So that's my favorite episode by them because I grew up playing that, and I might have to give you the file so you can make your fans suffer as well. It's an old RPG Maker game, and there's a part in that fight. Sinister's already doing it. Fucking, there's a part in that playthrough where like they're talking to like this thief basically, but you play the game as Ash Ketchum and Pikachu, and it's literally Julian doing like one of the funniest fucking like Ash Ketchum voices ever. And it's literally just like him talking to the fucking thief and being like, "Look what you've become! Look at yourself! Look what you've been reduced to!" And fucking like Ding Dong just fucking loses it, and he's like, imagine that on a t-shirt with like the stock photo of like Ash smiling with Pikachu. And it's just the greatest goddamn thing.
My friend, I could 100% see that being like a bootleg shirt though, you know? I could see that being a bootleg, right? Hello? Uh-oh. Ari? I think we lost Ari, folks.
Oh no!
Ari!
What?
Are you okay?
No?
No! Why not?
I'm lying.
Why
I don't.
aren't you okay?
Taxes.
Speak to me, my friend.
I can't.
I
can no longer speak.
Are the IRS coming for you? Do I need to...
The IRS. They have already come for me, my friend.
Do I need to get in contact with someone?
Please.
Please help me. All right, I think we got time for one more match.
Okay. What is left on that list that I think is like must?
We got time for one
watch.
more match, and then we'll raid into someone.
Okay. Here's the thing, right?
Yes.
Is I think you would really enjoy seeing Sakura Hirota. Her whole gimmick in the 90s was being The Rock.
Okay.
And that includes the promos. And I think if you're gonna start the stream with The Rock, you basically also have to end with The Rock. As much as I would love to show the match that fucking Ritsu was probably looking forward to, I think you have to end it with Sakura Hirota versus Saika Takeuchi, which is match number 5 on the list.
Match number 5. Okay.
No. 55.
Okay.
How come I can't see your... Can you share your screen with me again, by the way? I can't see a goddamn thing.
Yeah, you might have... I think you dropped. Don't worry, Ari, I understand. Hirota is an essential viewing. Okay.
That's true, though. Like, that's 100%.
At least we're ending off on, like, quintessential stuff here. So...
Yes.
But no, I wanna do just kind of more deep dives like this. I think shit like this is very fun and very fun to like chat over and get lost in.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
Is that we now have a list of things, and you have watched maybe half of it.
Sure.
So, in the future, there can always be a Joshi Invasion Part 2.
Ooh.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Is that, maybe another time we can do this again, and we can watch the rest of the matches that I've collected, and maybe I will just keep adding more, so we have to keep collaborating.
Part 2. Maybe at some point. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Off work, I gotta drive home. So, have fun. All right.
Let's go.
All right, you
have
be
a good
safe,
rest of your
soul.
night, dude.
You be safe, soul.
Oh yeah, so what Ecstasy was talking about there, her whole gimmick is basically like cosplaying as other wrestlers. Okay. So as you could just see there, like she just did like Sakura or Aja Kong, and she usually cosplays as her opponents. She'll do like celebrities at the time. Her belt is called the Triple H belt. Again, she's big WWF merc. Yeah. Which in this case stands for Handmade Hirota Henako, which is just her handmade belt. So this is probably the least Triple H promo. There's literally ones where she's like in the glasses.
Relatable.
Yes.
Relatable. I too am horrified and then eat chip. What the fuck?
So that's Sayaka Takeuchi. She was only in the company for about a year. But she was the protagonist of an entire documentary where she got her face kicked open, which I can also share with you if you ever want to see it.
Oh, there's a Triple H title.
Yep. It's true.
Can we open part dose to the Looney Tunes bullshit? What?
I knew you would enjoy that. His face is gold. I love it. Just looking like, yeah, bitch, you had that coming.
That's incredible.
I'm telling you.
Let's take a pic. I mean, like, this has to already be like an emote in your chat, right?
Oh, it's not on chat, but I do get a lot of mileage out of that one particular screen cap. Yes.
Well, then
I should make that an emote. Someone remind me of that.
You gotta make. I mean, it's paused right now. Grab it.
There you go. Someone grab it.
Grab it right now.
Post it in RE Ideas. Also, since you liked that, I do have to like counteract your ending stream after this. You have to play the thing I just sent you to end stream.
Okay.
I am superseding your ending of stream, so you have to play what I sent you, which is also on my personal channel.
What'd you send me?
Oh
my god.
It is
2 minutes and 47 seconds of Sakura Hirota taking liberties.
Yeah, brother.
That's awesome.
It will make you very happy.
We take those.
Goddamn right, brother.
Also, we got quite a few new people joining the Discord. Thank you very much, everyone.
Awesome.
Awesome
is now an emote in the Discord. Let's go. Hell yeah. Listen, if they're my people, they're good people. I can't speak for anybody else. I think very highly of my particular fans. Because a lot of them are here in chat right now.
By the way,
I know that they are awesome.
By the way, yes, I have a Discord as well. I have a Discord. I do a lot of fun things over there. I do wrestling watch-alongs. I do watch-alongs of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. We're currently on season 5. I want to do more video game nights. What now?
There were 5 seasons?
There are 9 seasons.
Of Gen 4?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Ari, we're only halfway through.
I stopped watching it like 3.
Well,
like it got to like Chrysalis, I think, and I was like, yeah, it's probably fine.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, pretty much.
That sounds like a you issue.
Like, my memory is like, hey, remember Babseed? And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, good times.
You'll be happy to know that Babseed does not have a major role in any other episodes.
That is good.
Or maybe you won't be upset.
I like the song, though.
I don't know.
Bad seed, bad seed. She's just a bad seed.
A you problem.
So look, she even brought the giant fucking pan out with her.
So is this like the FTW title, and where she has like, where she carries this around and she defends it?
Yeah.
I see.
A dog has been the champion.
Okay.
I think a random fan that just the title got like thrown into the crowd is a canonical champion.
Okay.
Fucking yeah. Because the thing is like nobody wants this belt.
I see.
She created the belt, and like she just challenges other people for the belt. So like usually if the other person wins, they more see it as like a fucking virus that they have just been given and immediately try to get rid of the belt.
I see.
Yeah, fucking clobbered.
But no,
so yeah, like
I like that.
At one point, someone just like put it on dogs, and a dog is now part of the lineage.
What if Triple H came over and won the belt? What if Triple H got gaslit into thinking this was a prestigious belt and fights tooth and nail to win it?
They named it after me.
It must be awesome.
Yeah.
It must be fucking rad. But no, I'm also trying to do more gaming nights in my Discord. Like, I'm trying to find a window of opportunity to play Lethal Company. Oh, holy fuck. Because I'm trying to like Lethal Company, but so far I just don't. I would like to though.
I've heard that opinion from people. Like it for me, it seems like something that's fun to watch other people have fun with.
No, I know.
But I've definitely heard from people that like, yeah, it just never clicked with me, and it's like, oh, that kind of is unfortunate.
It doesn't.
I haven't played it. I haven't even bought it.
Horror is a very tough pill for me to swallow. You know, I'm not a horror person. I am very much a goofball person, and for me, those wires don't cross all that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
How about Garden of Banban? You a big Garden of Banban fan?
Hmm?
Big what's that other one? Poppy's Playtime. You a big Poppy's Playtime fan? Big Baldi's Basics guy.
I'm a big fan of Cinco Noches con Alfredo. You know?
Big fan of actually we were talking earlier. We're both Sonic autists.
We are. But
which
you
is
know
kind of awesome.
You know what I'm also a big guy for?
Are you gonna put a fucking another
It's time for a 90 seconds minute Cheetos break my
really
dudes.
mad if that's
Not
the case.
ads, Raw rolls on after this. Yeah. Sorry.
God damn it.
I'm unfortunately stuck in the past.
We're seeing dust off PS2 and playing Tekken 5 because I'm too poor for a PS5 and Tekken 8. That's fine. I have a PS5 and yeah, there's like nothing there.
It went to Mersal as soon as Ari said God damn it. I don't want to continue the match until we're done here. So
no, that's fine.
But yeah, that is what's going on over on my Discord. I'm also trying to like just get some more emotes and stickers in there. Like I really want to make one of like Christian Cage sitting at a monitor and like edit it to say live Christian Cage reaction. because that's funny to me.
No, that's very funny in general.
Also, I want to get a sticker that just has a bunch of like hearts and a blush for like Hangman. For the sake of it.
That's on brand though. That would fucking rock.
It is on brand. I would love.
You need to have like those like giant like anime eyes too.
No, yeah.
Excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Hey, welcome back to Raw. Like it needs to have a whole bunch of like GIF glitter and stuff like that too. Like really fucking bedazzled
like an
up,
old like MySpace profile picture.
Yeah, we need to make like a MySpace profile picture out of Hangman Adam Page, and we need to get a live Christian Cage reaction sticker.
Yes. See, I see the vision. I see the vision. But yeah, that girl in green there, she was only in this company for about a year, but in that year, they managed to make an entire documentary about her going to this company.
What?
It is a hell of a watch. It's not an easy watch either.
Oh.
The training, I think they were playing it up, obviously, for the documentary, but, like, there are parts in here where she is just, like, brutalized. Like, fucking, she gets drop-kicked in the face, and, like, her face is split open. And it's just, it's unfortunate. Like, it's a good view on, like, you know, how hard it was to get into these things, because this is, like, wrestling at its peak. Like, everyone wanted to be a part of Joshi Wrestling because a lot of the other companies at the time were just flourishing. So, you know, they were trying to, like, keep people from just joining all willy-nilly and stuff, you know? And this was one of those companies, and they were like, hey, you gotta be able to, like, prove your worth to get in here. Like, I think they said they had, like, 3,000 people apply, and they would pick maybe 3. So to be one of those 3, like, you had to, you know, keep up on shit. And it's just, you know, for as silly as this is, the documentary definitely is like, hey, this is also the reality of, you know, they had to be serious and they had to do this. And they also had to get drop kicked in the face and bleed, and it was really disgusting. Yeah, I have a very high quality version of it on the Internet Archive uploaded. Before I uploaded that, the only version that you could watch online was like a 144p upload to YouTube. And the upload is in widescreen, and then the movie is in 4:3, and then the recording of that movie is in like 16:9. So it's like trying to watch the movie in a fucking postage stamp, because of how many different like aspect ratios have been added to the fucking video. It is like miserable. But eventually, after like days and trying and spending a lot of money I didn't have, I was able to get a high definition quality version of it, and I uploaded it to the Internet Archive so it doesn't go down.
Like watching the doc of Rolf's TV. Oh my god, with Rolf's TV. I fucking know what you say though. I know what you're saying.
Pretty much so. Look at my documentary, Ed boy. So the one in pink is Sakura Hirota. She is silly. That's been like her whole career.
I can see that.
And I love it because she's like 40 now, and she's like still just a goof, and it's awesome.
Chat's saying that like they don't even know if like her opponent is even alive at this point. Let us watch the Japanese wrestling iceberg, boys.
Let's watch each other. Come on in, boy. They get shot on for real. But yeah, so Saika Takeuchi, because of how a lot of like this early Japanese stuff worked, when people would like leave the company, you would just not hear from them again. Really? Like there was no Twitter, obviously. And a lot of people, after they're done wrestling, they just settle down to have like actual lives. So you wouldn't get like updates. You wouldn't know what they were doing. You wouldn't know any of that shit. So honestly, nobody knows if Saika Takeuchi is like alive. They don't know where she is. They don't know what she's doing. You know, because she could be doing anything. Because she was only in this company for about a year. And hasn't cropped back up anywhere.
Rolf is entering himself in the Royal Rumble, Ed boy. I said that boy's name was Ed. I said that boy's name was Ed. So on and so forth.
What, Ed boy?
I said that boy's name was Ed.
I can't do any good to like. Oh, she calls it the rear view. I can't do like.
I can't do the impression. I'm not even gonna try.
No. How this make you feel, Ed boy? That I've told you guys before on stream. Like that is still like one of my favorite memes, literally ever. It's just that fucking alien making out with a white woman, and just it's giant text that just says how that make you feel, white boy. Oh, nice back fist. Oh, foot it on.
It's like actually competitive.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah. No, that's the best thing too. Is like even when these companies were kind of silly, like half Nelson suplex, that's her finisher. It still was like just good wrestling. There it is. Also, every
The
year in
Velociraptor
2K,
making out with a woman with a big ass alien head peeking in from the background. What?
I fucking love that meme so goddamn much. Can somebody find that meme and post it in chat just so Giraffe Stuff has to look at it? You have 2 minutes and 46 seconds because that's how long this Sakura Hirota taking liberties video is going to be.
All right. We'll just go ahead and we'll watch it real quick.
Last video of the night.
Last video of the night, and then we'll head out.
Yep. So again, you're gonna see a lot of rock here. 10 minute baby. Only 1 minute.
You are not I. お前なんか目じゃない。
You just watch her slowly transform into the rock. I love it.
My favorite part is that this looks like it just takes place at like the back of your local YMCA. Like
Yeah,
the fucking like
pretty much.
walls are just like in dingy like fucking disrepair and stuff. It's crazy.
Like what you can't see is like 14 feet to the left. There's an 80-year-old man with his balls touching the floor, toweling off after a hard fucking swim sesh at the local Y.
Exactly. And meanwhile, like in the same room, there was like 3 8-year-olds too.
Yeah. Playing on Grandpa's deck.
Because the Y is
Like
just
a
really
hammock.
awkward like that, you know?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You are not I.
What the fuck is this?
Eek.
Oh, you uploaded this.
Yes. So instead of what chance, she has fat chance. Oh, to bed. It doesn't matter what you think.
One of the best on the mic. I do not know what she's saying.
It's so true, though.
Fat.
What?
Wait,
And
what
that
is
is
the fucking...
the peak.
What's the fucking title that she has there?
That is the Wave Championship. That is the Regina de Wave. That is the top championship in Wave.
All right.
Pro Wrestling Wave, which I said before is like one of my favorite Joshi promotions. There's probably a match on that list that we will get to next time.
All right.
If there's ever a next time.
There will be a next time. Rega de White Boy.
Krabstev's you're gonna go on Twitter and just fucking block me on everything and be like, oh, one and done. On to the next.
I feel like
And then they
after
gotta find
that,
a different crab VTuber to collab with.
I feel like after that, I need like sleep. Let's find someone to raid real quick.
All Honestly, that's fair though. Yeah, that is fair.
First of all, thank you all very much for fucking sticking with us for all of this. I really, really appreciate everyone. Oriana X Giraffe
Let's
stuff
go.
based. But no, thank you to everyone. If you haven't done so already, I would appreciate you following me here on on the old Twitch. And maybe consider joining my Discord. We have a lot of fun over there. It's a fun community full of games, raps, and goofiness of all sorts of things. We have a lot of watch-alongs over there of wrestling, movies. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is the big thing we're doing right now. Currently, we're on season 5. I'm trying to find more time to sort of do nights and where we just game as a community. I want to do things like Lethal Company. I want to do more Jackbox stuff. I'm also taking a lot of thoughts on like what the community thinks I should be focusing on next, whether it be like, you know, a stream topic or maybe different kinds of emotes, that sort of stuff like that. If all that sounds fantastic to you, consider joining the fucking server and finding my other stuff by going to my card, which is linked right above the latest message from Sinister right there. For now,
hell yeah.
Let's go and find someone to raid real quick.
Let's go.
I want to try and find someone that y'all might take to, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know if that exists right now because it's so late. It's so late. You know what? I've not raided into one of my closest friends for quite a while here. Ari, you are a bitch, and Giraffa, you are an angel. Thank you so much for the fun stream, guys. No, thank you. Thank you for fucking being here. And again, if you haven't done so already, follow the channel. I'd appreciate it.
That's true. Also,
and thank you, Ari, for fucking joining me here.
And I can't do a stream or even be on a stream without saying, whether you guys were lurking in the shadows or a part of chat, I appreciate you. I hope you guys all had a great night. And I will see you guys all next time forever. I was glad to be here. Thank you so much. I really did enjoy this, and I adore getting to teach people about things I like.
Absolutely, my friend. We are going to be raiding now into my friend DM on TV. He is playing Persona 3 Reload right now. I'm a big fan of this series, and so is he. And he is much more knowledgeable on it than me. So another learning experience right there for all of you from my friend DM. Anyways, go and show him some Long Boy Club love. There you are, Long Boy Club love. There it is right there. That right there is the raid message. Send it right on over to him.
Go.
Thanks again, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. This was fun. This was incredible.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow for some fucking Animal Crossing New Horizons, and where we try and get all of the pod villagers off my fucking island. Until then,
how very European of you.
Yeah, I know. Bye.
Yep.